ヒップトップの神といえば誰？シンガーでビッグなのは誰？エンタメの大黒柱は誰？ワールドカップに出てくるのは誰？グミグミグミグミグミグミグミヒップトップの神といえば誰？シンガーでビッグなのは誰？エンタメの大黒柱は誰？ワールドカップに出てくるのは誰？ヒップトップの神といえば誰？シンガーでビッグなのは誰？エンタメの大黒柱は誰？ワールドカップに出てくるのは誰？グミグミグミグミグミグミ
Hello, and welcome to Skeptical Robot. I am Luigi Greenberg. Thank you so much for being here on this Friday evening. Before we even move forward, I would like to say thank you, Hamhead, for the 20 Luigi Greenberg gifted memberships. Thank you so much. And we know what you want. Let's just get out of the way. You'll get more. That's consider that a down payment. Thank you so much, Hamhead. Appreciate it. Thank you so much to everyone for being here. And let me go ahead and bring out my co-host. You know him, you love him, Mr. Corndiff.
Howdy.
Hello, Mr. Corndiff. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I am doing very well.
Nice.
Thank you for being here. Let's see here. Man, I want to read through all these, but I guess we'll do these later. That's just going to take up a lot of time. But
read through what, the names of who got
yeah,
them?
the names, but just we're so grateful. Just so grateful. We want to acknowledge
grateful.
everyone. We'll get through it. But thank you so much. You do not have to contribute anything. We're just happy that somebody likes this silly show. But the fact that you do contribute makes our night just a little bit better. Let me go ahead and also bring out the mad genius, Mr. Gummi Chainsaw. How are you, Mr.
What up,
Gummi?
everybody? How's everyone doing?
How are you doing tonight?
I am doing great. Ready to get this HIV talk on.
We have got a doozy tonight. But let's go ahead and bring out our special guest before we get into the deep HIV talk. Folks, back again by popular demand. Please welcome Mr. Sperg Snake. Hello, Mr. Sperg Snake. How are you?
I'm great. Holy smokes, that intro every time. It's fucking great.
You have the best song.
It sets a high expectation. I'm always nervous. One thing to get out of the way real quick before we get into anything important. I got a hat on to cover my eyes. I understand the filter thing. I could totally get behind that now because I don't need to have a light directly in my face, burning my retinas. So I'm here. I'm just like, I'm avoiding an eye headache later. That's all. So I apologize.
Not a problem, sir. All we need is your beautiful brain to participate.
Yay. Oh, more like this. Yay.
Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much to everyone for being here. I started doing something a little bit different, and I want to make sure that I am consistent about it. That for our guests, before we get started, instead of having your plugs just at the end, let's go ahead and let you plug here at the beginning. Please feel free to plug anything you like before we get started.
Oh, Corndiff disappeared. Oh, there he is. You first.
No, it was Sperg Snake.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, please.
Okay, that was, on YouTube. At Sperg Snake on YouTube. It might be easier if you copy paste my name, you scroll up out of the thing. But it should show up if you at Sperg Snake, all one word. Monday night is game show game night. I'm trying to find, there's a Wii emulator out there. I want to play Press Your Luck just to hear the No whammy. Stop.
The
stop
whammy?
and see some of them. Yeah.
Have you ever seen the documentary about the guy who figured out the pattern of the whammy? That is one of the most fascinating documentaries. I always, as a kid, was trying to figure out the pattern.
Right. You would think that they would have had that figured out back then. They would have had some sort of random number generator, and they didn't. And he killed it.
Yeah. Like 20 times in a row or something.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And there was another guy, maybe two, that were really good at guessing on The Price is Right. Like they guessed with almost exact dollar amounts. Or actual, like on the 5, 11,385, and it was like dead perfect.
I never saw that one, but I remember seeing the thumbnail for it. But it was some guy that apparently had like studied it for years and did all the math in his head because they were reusing the prizes.
That makes sense too.
And I think he had a little bit of the tism.
But even to be able to account for inflation over those years is amazing that he was able to be that accurate.
That's and I need to watch that one. But yes, the one about the guy who figured out the whammies, I think you can find that on YouTube. But that is actually a crazy story because he was essentially a grifter. You know what? He probably needs an episode here. He was he was a con man. And karma bit him in the ass bad with all of the winnings that he got. Yeah.
Game show grifters are a thing.
That's
for better or worse, really.
That's a funny one. Man, I never even thought about that. That'd be a good episode. All right. Well, let's get into it, fellas. Thanks again for everyone for being here. So this one is a little weird. And let me give it just a little bit of setup before we get into it. Last week, we did a members-only episode on Tommy Morrison. Tommy the Duke Morrison. He was a boxer in the late 80s and 90s. He was a fierce boxer. He was athletically gifted. He was a fantastic specimen of an athlete. And in 1996, 2 hours before he was scheduled to fight the first opponent on his new $38.5 million 3-fight deal, a blood test came back that said he was HIV positive. And he was not given a license and didn't make the money and eventually turned to a life of crime. And then started to very publicly deny that he ever had HIV. And then it escalated to the point where he believed that HIV was actually a fake conspiracy and that AIDS doesn't even exist.
Oh, wow. That's a good one.
ESPN has a 30 for 30 called Tommy about this story, but I still don't think it covers everything. But as we started going really deep into this story, we realized there were so many more layers to the story that we hadn't even considered or thought about. And the issue ultimately becomes a gray area of, was Tommy Morrison a con man and a grifter, or was he in fact a victim? Was he someone who believed something? Was he deluded? Was he a delusional liar? Or was he intentionally trying to lie in order to gain back some notoriety and some money? Well, we talked about it, and then all this new stuff just started kind of coming up in my YouTube feeds, and I found some other stuff that is really out there about Tommy Morrison. And that's what I wanted to go over. But ultimately, we are trying to figure out the same question. Actually, I guess we figured out in every episode is, was this person really trying to intentionally deceive people, or was he just a deluded nut job? And we don't know. It's weird, but I think we have a lot of evidence to lean one way. So Before we get started, any questions?
Can I just add something right quick?
Please.
So in case you guys didn't see it, and if you don't know the name Tommy Morrison, you might know him as the bad guy in Rocky 5.
Yes, that's true. Yes, I should have said that. I'm gonna play a recap before we get into the new stuff. That's gonna kind of go over a little bit more of this. And from what I understand, Corndiff has not seen Rocky 5, which I believe is a sin in America.
Right.
But
You
I
don't
assume
have a VHS box set, dude.
I assume everyone else in the chat has seen Rocky 5.
It's the only one still in the wrapper.
It's the one where they went to space, right?
Yes. It pretty much should be. It's terrible. It's awful.
Yeah. That's what I wanted to. That's where I first heard of the guy, like in a fictitious way. Was that from that he was Tommy the Machine Gun, and then Rocky kicked his butt in the street at the end, and it was.
And we talked about
even as a. Oh yeah, I was gonna say even as a teen, it was not great.
It was not, but we talked about during another episode we did. Someone wrote in the chat, "Are y'all talking about Tommy the Machine Gun?"
OG Nick it was.
Yeah, that's right. It was OG Mumbling Nick because in Rocky 5, that was the name he had. It was Tommy the Machine Gun, and we all admitted that for years after we thought that was his real name.
Like I always thought him in boxing as like Tommy the Machine Gun Morrison. Like in real life boxing.
Right.
Like
That's
I just
funny.
put the two together.
But yeah, in Rocky 5, his last name was Gun.
Yeah.
Tommy Gun, and so they called him Tommy the Machine. Anyway, but yes, as a kid, I thought that was his real name for the longest time too. All right, so let's get started. Ah, shit. I didn't load this up first. Oh well. All right. I'm always off with something. Here we go. Everybody hear it okay?
Yeah, sounds good.
You know what? Actually, before we get started, I do need to say that in this recap, I actually included some new stuff that we didn't cover in the first episode that I just felt like needed to be mentioned, even if we don't dwell on it. You're going to see what I'm talking about. There's a couple things in here that we just didn't really dwell on, but are still very important parts of the story, especially moving forward. So here we go.
Meet Tommy Morrison, the most popular kid in school. Captain of every sports team he entered, adored by hundreds of friends and especially the females.
A big talker. He's not all show.
In these clips you're looking at, he's only 13 years old. And while many years below the legal limit to fight, he was so incredibly advanced for his age, he forged a fake ID just to compete. And quite frankly, went on to destroy men that were twice his age.
So Corndiff, when you were 13 years old, I heard that you also entered a tough man contest and beat up 6 grown men. But I thought you held the record for the longest time. But it turns out this guy did it too.
No. Well, that's the thing, though. They've got these. It's regional. It's his region, my region. Yeah, that's around the time I got into speed bag.
Okay, well, they're territories, as from what I understand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
All I do is box. I go to bed thinking about it, and I wake up thinking about it.
And while Tyson was obliterating top contenders in the pro ranks, a stocky white kid with a mullet was doing a similar job with the head guards on.
Well, it's simple. Oh, man. I was just going to say, it's simple. He hits you
Stocky white kid with the 5 gifted subs.
From 1985 to 1988, Tommy had amassed a huge record of 290 wins with 21 losses and a staggering 263 knockouts.
Do we see that record? Soak that in. 290 wins. This is amateur, by the way. 21 losses, and as an amateur, he was fighting since the age of 13. He went pro 6 months after graduating high school, and the year that he went pro, he fought 18 times that year. This guy was just made for this. It's a crazy story.
An outrageous puncher's record. And while
What'd you say?
Sounds aggressive.
Yes. This guy.
Very aggressive.
I'm gonna guess this guy just probably didn't know what else to do in life, and was like, Yeah, I can hit people. Let's just focus on this.
Most were against other local fighters in the Delaware area. He did eventually make his way to the big leagues when he competed in the Seoul Olympic trials, infamously losing a narrow decision to rising star and later rival Merciless Ray Mercer, who...
That was something we didn't talk about. He was in the Olympics. He wound up losing the gold, but he made it that far. And I forget how old he was, but I think he was pretty young. I think he might have been like 19. The guy was the real deal, I guess is what I'm just getting at. The guy wasn't just a flash in the pan. He had devoted his life to boxing.
He turned down scholarships, right? Like to pursue boxing specifically. Like he could play football or I'm pretty sure that was in the first stinger in the last episode.
Yeah.
And part of that package, I think I'm pretty sure the narrator had mentioned that. He was number one guy on campus and he was like, screw this. I'm gonna go punch people.
Yeah. Hamhead, thank you for the $5. Matt Hibner wins chat of the night. Leaders with long fire drop. What did Matt Hibner say?
Tommy Pickles Morrison.
Tommy Pickles Morrison.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Oh wait.
Thank you, Hammers.
Wait, he said it's Matt Hibner. There you go. Matt Hibner. There you go. Give you some Tommy Pickles Morrison. I like it. Oh, yeah. Long fart. You got it.
Sounds you can taste.
and while we're on the subject, Luigi, I found the book.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
The fart book. So
we should have like a Masterpiece Theater where you like read it in a British accent.
I'll consult you on that because there are some of them that are very obscure and rare, and some of them that you'll go, yep, I've suffered from that one before.
I'll show you one right now.
The silent ones.
All right.
Who ended up proving himself as the cream of the crop as he captured the gold medal just a few months later. Despite having a large fan base before his pro career had even begun, Tommy remained grounded with an attitude to gradually fight his way to the top.
My main goal in life is to be able to take care of my parents. You know, if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be here to start with.
He made his debut on a small hall event in New York, scoring a first-round knockout. And from here on, it was very clear that Tommy was a special power puncher, particularly with the left hook, as he was known for being able to close the distance in an instant with a fast, leaping left hand.
Look at that. I mean, that is just amazing, right?
Yeah.
And he's 13 here.
No.
Right.
No.
No, that was another point. Yeah. Mike Tyson also had that similar backstory where he was fighting grown men.
Like apparently was but fighting him in like back alleys for money when he was like 12, I heard. I think by this point he's like 19 or 20. Not 13.
Yeah. I had said last time he was like photo negative Mike Tyson.
Yes, he really is. I mean, and by the way, the name the Duke, I forget if we mentioned it here, comes from supposedly he was the great grandnephew of John Wayne. However, I have also heard conflicting stories that his manager made that story up. But
he's the great grandnephew of Stuttering John.
Yes, there you go. Rather go with that story. Here you go.
27 pounds. Big right hand. Another first-round knockout for Tommy the Duke Morrison.
And a killer mullet.
It wasn't long before ESPN came knocking at the door asking for Tommy to feature on Tuesday Night Fights, a great platform for any young fighter looking to build a fan base while still taking on slightly lower journeymen in their division.
It's going to make me basically a household name. It's going to make people take me as a real fighter.
Of course, Morrison jumped at the chance and was soon matched up with the 19-6 Jesse Shelby on August 22nd, 1989.
And this is kind of a crossroads fight for Jesse Shelby. Man on the ropes here, getting the best of it. Jesse Shelby in trouble. Yes, early. He lost in the Olympic trials. A big right hand followed up on the left.
Did y'all notice that that punch to the ribs literally moved his entire body one way, and then the punch to the head moved it the other direction. Like his feet came off the ground with both punches. Man,
Yeah.
I felt that body shot.
that body shot was crazy, and he literally kind of even resembles like a black version of Glass Joe.
That was the bald bull knockout when you had to punch him in the stomach when he was charging you.
Yeah.
Shelby, I don't think he's going to let it go on.
Okay, a quick report card from Bill Caton after 15 fights.
Maybe he meant John Wayne Gacy.
What do you see, Bill?
I think Tommy is on his way. He's still learning, but he's improving from fight to fight.
All right. So just all this, just to recap, the potential this guy had, the road he was on to be, I mean, probably the best boxer, just from all the raw talent.
Duke Morrison.
That's probably going to be it. Highlighting boxing's newest attraction, Tommy the Duke Morrison.
There's the hand take goes down and probably out. What a huge shot.
Tommy the Duke Morrison.
You see that 37 seconds in round one. And he's just, I think he's really just 19 or 20 right now.
Now, were both of those guys wearing blue shorts, or did he hit him so hard he turned them white?
he literally killed them, and that was blood seeping out of their body.
Tommy Morrison at 20 years.
There we go.
Young.
20 years old, yeah.
And come into play in a hurry at 227 pounds.
10 seconds in round one.
Comes another first-round knockout victim.
It's counting down.
Tommy
All right, I'm
Morrison.
sorry.
Morrison was chosen by Sylvester Stallone to be the villain in Rocky V.
Took a screen test and has been cast as Rocky's protege, or Sylvester Stallone's protege in upcoming.
So something we talked about last time was that while they were filming Rocky V, they would actually film clips between his real fights and use them for footage in the movie Rocky V. So it looks there like Sylvester Stallone is in his corner. They're actually filming a scene for a movie between the rounds of one of Tommy Morrison's actual fights. So basically, like the pikey Brad Pitt in in Snatch, they're like, when you're ready, you can kill him, but don't kill him too quickly. We have a movie to film. It really seemed to be the case.
Rocky V.
Make it dramatic.
Yeah, exactly. Can I kill him now, boss?
Heard about Tommy and decided that since his granduncle was John Wayne, that acting as well as fighting was in his blood.
Less than a week later, they had already begun filming.
Yes. Knockout.
Despite the movie arguably being the worst in the series, Tommy received
It was so bad that Corndiff refused to watch it.
many critics due to the fact he had never acted in any sort of capacity beforehand and did a relatively good job in bringing Tommy Gunn to life.
That was actual footage.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
However, acting wasn't Tommy's forte. He was a boxer, and now with a brand new younger fan base, he couldn't wait to get back in the ring and continue his road to the title.
There's a big left hook.
I got a job to do, and I plan on doing it quickly.
They're down with a crushing blow.
Tommy has a hell of a left hook. Guy his size.
His size,
Right.
and he's so fast with not just with the hands, but with his feet too. Like he is literally moving so with his whole body. Like that shouldn't be the case with someone that large. But I mean, he looks like a little smaller Brock Lesnar, like a G.I. Joe figure or a He-Man doll.
He looks like Brock Lesnar's daughter.
Yeah, yes. Yes, totally.
He's got a great left hook, period, end of paragraph.
Fight after fight, knockout after knockout, the now 22-year-old Morrison couldn't put a foot wrong. He blasted out many of the same faces Mike Tyson did a couple years prior. The former world champion Pinklin Thomas couldn't make it past one round. The tricky slickster James Quick Tillis met the same fate a month prior. Steve Zowski, Lorenzo Boyd, and David Jacko were others Tyson faced and Tommy had steamrolled.
There's a left hand. Jake goes down and probably out.
Tommy entered the most significant bout of his career. Repeat or revenge. Morrison versus Mercer 2. On the line, the WBO Heavyweight Championship of the world.
Just to remind everybody, this is the guy that beat him in the Olympics.
Ready? Ready.
3 years on from their clash in the Olympic trials, Tommy had a chance to set things straight as he matched up in a widely speculated 50-50 showdown with now 17.
All right, Hamhead, I understand your point, but Butterbean had fantastic hands. His feet were not that great, though. He did not move around with a lot of quick feet. The hands, I'll give you, but yeah.
Yeah, that's the difference between, you know, the dodging a punch and being able to eat punches until you knock the other guy out.
That's true. Like, Butterbean might be the only guy, I'm thinking about it now, might be the only other person that had the George Foreman effect of a giant head that he was able to just simply absorb and wait for his opportunity. He might be the only other person besides George Foreman who could do that.
He was a peanut M&M with boxing gloves.
Yeah, yes.
You mentioned Bald Bull earlier. That's King Hippo.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, yeah, there you go. There you go. Absolutely.
18-0 professional Ray Mercer.
Mercer made him pay for it.
As in his 27th. Mercer pounding away. Morrison may be going. Morrison is gone.
Here he is just connecting with shots, unanswered punches, out on his feet and hurt. Is Tommy the new Morrison?
He was standing for some time.
So what we learn is that Tommy Morrison starts slacking in his training like a lot of champions do when they start buying their own bullshit that they're indestructible. He liked alcohol and he liked the ladies.
A lot of shots from Merciless Ray Mercer.
Tommy surrounded himself with the wrong people. He was already deep into a vicious cycle of heavy drinking, drug taking, and by all accounts of the people close to him, nymphomania.
Tommy was a constant womanizer.
He was such a natural.
How many women do you have to have sex with before you can be classified as a womanizer?
A constant one.
Yeah, it's got to be constantly happening. You got to have a different broad on your arm every 6 hours.
Then you get AIDS.
Then you wind up with HIV.
Yeah.
Positive. Yikes.
Oh, man.
Athlete that even after years of self-abuse, the lifestyle never appeared to catch up to him in the ring, by the untrained eye at least. However, this guy didn't have
Hamhead, what does Butterbean sell? I'm curious.
supernatural powers. The partying was later revealed to be far worse than first thought. This wasn't just a weekend binge situation. This was an every night thing. Despite Tommy losing that reputation as a role model that he once loved to embrace, the partying went on like before. Only this time, he was consistently fighting at a higher level in between, so bouts that he would easily win as a sober man became just that bit harder.
And Tommy Morrison summons some power today, and it saves him in the ninth round.
I don't know if y'all could see that with his jaw open like that. His jaw had been broken and he kept fighting. He had a broken jaw and a broken hand, and apparently just kept fighting through it and eventually won the fight and couldn't close his mouth.
Williams is already busted up. Mills Lane has stopped the fight. Another dramatic power punching comeback for Tommy Morrison.
After defeating Carl the Truth Williams in January 1993, Tommy put himself in line for a lucrative title shot against the immovable object that is Big George Foreman. Despite Big George being the 7-5 betting favorite, June 7th, 1996 became the glowing highlight of Morrison's career.
Supposedly, George Foreman was the only man that scared Tommy Morrison. We talked in the first episode about the story of George Foreman and his, I might be getting this wrong, remind me, Gummi, was it he had a record of 276-3.
Yeah, we were saying that you can go off and say that he's 100%. Like when the percentage is that little, it's like fuck it, the dude's 100%.
You round it up.
Yeah.
He's 100% winner. 276 and 3.
Yeah, it was something insane.
Yeah. And supposedly this was the only person that ever legit scared Tommy Morrison. He did not want to fight him, but apparently he buckled down and stopped drinking and stopped screwing around and really focused on his training.
Opening round, he made the older man look ancient as he carefully maneuvered around the ring, evading the slow but dangerous attacks. His defensive prowess complemented his razor-sharp combination counters as he never gave Foreman a millisecond to recuperate from his errors.
Morrison breathing with his mouth open as we begin round. Damage, there it is again. And
tremendous left hook by Tommy Morrison.
Low blow from Foreman and a good left hook by Morrison.
Two good left hooks by Tommy Morrison, and George didn't move.
Tommy Morrison fought a very intelligent fight.
Missing in action, I believe he was 46 at this point. I don't think he quite was 50 yet because he had won the championship at 45, and I believe this was his first title defense. I could be wrong, but it was pretty close to it.
He was eating those punches.
He was what?
He was eating those punches.
He was the only person who could. Like I said in our first one, it was essentially like fighting Jason Voorhees. It was a guy who just kept coming and coming and was like, give me all you got. But as soon as you tire and you drop your guard, you're mine. And
like
that's what he
shot,
did.
Yeah, that shot to the gut didn't even phase him.
No.
I would 100% be in the fetal position.
Some of those punches would have probably knocked out a horse. But Jesus.
With his plan, and I think he deserves full credit for a victory I expect he's going to get.
Jerry Roth scores the bout, 118 to 109 for the winner and new champion, Tommy the Duke Morrison.
Once Morrison became world champion, notable changes in his appearance and performance became apparent to all. Within just an 18-month period, he appeared to age by 5 or 6 years, slightly losing his boyish looks and muscular.
This is where the story gets weird. All right. Very, very weird.
Physique along the way. He also no longer possessed those fast-twitch muscle fibers from before. The power remained, but Tommy relied on his speed just as much as his strength, which inevitably resulted in some shocking losses and one-sided beatdowns. Despite the poor run of form, promotional superstar Don King stepped in and offered Morrison a life-changing retirement package. Arthur Stormy Weathers was the first man penciled in for Tommy, a low-level journeyman with little to no chance in causing an upset. Nothing more than a tune-up to get the ball rolling for Morrison's comeback. But in the days leading up to the bout, an unusual headline surfaced.
Tommy Morrison was supposed to fight tonight in Las Vegas, but the Duke was KO'd by the Nevada Athletic Commission just hours before his scheduled bout with Arthur Weathers. Morrison suspended worldwide for medical reasons.
Tommy's reasons for avoiding the blood test just didn't make sense. He claimed he was scared of needles, but every boxer knows that excuse simply won't be enough to avoid such a key and important part of the sport.
Scared of needles was his excuse. I'm scared of needles, but I have tattoos and I've been a professional athlete for the past 8 years. As soon as someone were to say that, wouldn't every possible alarm go off in your head? Huh.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Take your freaking blood test. Well, you told me not to do anything unless you were here. You know, Don wanted me to do it. I said, Tommy, take your blood test. That's for the commission.
Morrison had no choice but to take the test or be stripped of his license. And for his love of the game and faith in God, he took the test, knowing full well the results could end his career and perhaps even his livelihood.
Yeah. I've taken the action to have more extensive tests run. And I was informed just a little while ago that those tests do in fact confirm.
So something we really want to emphasize here is, why was he hesitant to take the blood test in the first place?
Hey, yeah, I mean, I'm assuming he knew it was gonna come back.
Yeah.
I also think I think I pointed this out last time, but at this point of his life, he really looks like Wade Boggs.
He does.
Yes, he's the non-ginger Wade Boggs. That was great.
Tested positive for the HIV virus.
Morrison was subsequently suspended from the sport. Having the HIV virus in any sort of combat sport runs a huge risk of transmission. Blood and saliva often trade places during a bout, and the Nevada State Athletic Commission made the right decision in instantly revoking his license. But was it something that they should have done sooner? Perhaps 7 years sooner to be more precise, dating right back to the days and months in which he first turned professional.
And then it announced that he could not pass his physical.
This is Tommy's mom. Now, this is one of the things that I was saying we didn't cover in the first one. But I found this little clip from the 30 for 30 that's on ESPN. This is his mother.
That
And I
chair
knew
looks
what it
so
was.
comfortable.
We had talked about this before.
Talked about what?
The HIV.
Oh, Mama's giving it up.
He knew before.
He suspicioned.
Morrison.
Now, not that the word
suspicion.
Suspicion is a word.
He's
I love it.
suspicioned.
He suspicioned.
Suspicioned.
Holy shit.
Not that that's a real word, but she is saying, essentially, that he told her, Mom, I think I have HIV. And, not to spoil anything, as we later learn, she is the one that cared for him in his last days of full-blown AIDS. She has just gone on record as saying it's a pretty simple case. He had HIV. He knew it. He died of AIDS. No conspiracy, no nothing. She really just has been black and white about the whole thing.
All right,
Morrison's
good
own
night,
mother
folks.
admitted
Yeah,
Wait,
exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
as far as she's concerned, it's an open and shut case.
that Tommy knew to some degree he had the virus long before failing the test
Matt Hibner. Well, time to go back to butt fucking strangers.
in 1996. And in 2016, court papers were released suggesting Tommy had been diagnosed HIV positive all the way back in 1989.
1989, which means that if true, he was boxing while HIV positive for 7 years.
Not cool.
Not cool.
When Morrison's
No,
ex-wife,
every
Dawn Breen,
opponent's probably fucking pissed. They had to go out and get tested or something if there was
No
blood in the
kidding.
fight, you know what I
No
mean? Like,
kidding.
fuck.
Yeah.
What about all these women, bro? Like,
That's the weird thing. Now, we're going to talk about that, but this is where the this is where the whole issue, the question of knowledge versus negligence or intention versus negligence really starts to drive like a wedge between whatever the truth is. There's not one documented case of him giving HIV to anybody sexually. And he was married. He was even married a couple of times.
That's crazy.
It is crazy. And it lends a little bit of credibility to the fact that he didn't have it.
but then you also, like, if you think about it, there are some people, some people last with it for, some people die quickly, some people last longer. So there might have been some women who are just long dead, but who like died within like 2 or 3 years.
Possibly.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
we don't know. But
Right,
the thing
right.
is, like, even if this is, let's just call it 20% of evidence that he had AIDS, or I'm sorry, 20%, what am I trying to say here? In the big pot of evidence of AIDS versus not AIDS, there is still so much substantially more evidence that he did,
Yeah.
beyond this. But it is a quirky part of the argument. I don't know. There's no explanation.
He was questioned for the upcoming lawsuit in a sworn deposition. She said that he had told her in 2000 that he tested positive for HIV in 1989 when he got checked out as part of a screening for a life insurance policy. Morrison confirmed this himself when he went into rehab in 1999, and the counselor doing his intake wrote that he claims that he was first told he was HIV positive in 1989.
See, but this is all just conversation, hearsay, conjecture. It's not actual proof of anything. It's all him just saying these things.
Did he ever get a blood test or have a doctor confirm his condition? Or is it just like you said, the mom kind of just went along with it and sold it for him?
Okay. Hold on to your question. because I don't actually have an answer, and you're going to see what I mean. Possibly, but also maybe not. So hold on to that one.
We do have to add that the claims made are alleged, but the amount of evidence to suggest he was hiding the virus for many years is overwhelming. Shortly after his public press conference, Lakers legend and 5-time NBA champion Magic Johnson contacted Morrison to try and help him through this hard time and offered him some valuable advice. Morrison quickly teamed up with the former basketball star, where together they toured the country sharing their stories with as many ears and eyes as they could reach.
Sharing their ebony and ivory AIDS stories.
I was just thinking about that. Like, what kind of stories? Is road stories of banging chicks, or?
Yeah. What are you gonna say to that?
Trust me, kids. The drugs, the alcohol, banging a different beautiful girl every life. That's not the life you want. Like, like what kind of stuff is that?
Let me tell you how I got AIDS.
It's not fun, kids.
Initially, their recovery went great. Tommy had a lead HIV specialist doctor nursing his health. He took his pills regularly and began transforming his broken and weak body back to full fitness.
Okay, so to what you're asking, Sperg, about taking additional blood tests, I'm going to guess that a doctor doesn't get involved taking your word that you have AIDS. So there's an assumption there that he was doing regular blood tests if he was getting medication, because you have to give regular blood tests and also, monitor, certain things in your blood, like your T cells.
Yeah, right.
So there's
exactly that.
a big assumption there that he was doing regular blood tests in order to get the medication. But then it gets even more weird.
That was until he met his soon-to-be wife, Trisha, in the late 2000s.
He couldn't talk to people. His wife wouldn't let anybody near him.
Tommy had convinced himself and others around him that he didn't just no longer have AIDS, but he never had the virus in the first place.
He quit taking his medication after just 30 days. He called it medical propaganda.
Look at him. Look at him there. He's 38 years old in that picture.
Yeah, his wrists are super small there.
Ugh.
Then launched into full-blown denial. And from there, the spiral became unstoppable. This wasn't just a moment of weakness.
Look at him
there.
It
was the start of what one insider called a deep and intractable pattern of denial, a delusion that would define the rest.
Fern Dog, she claims no. She says no. We're going to hear a little bit from her later.
Of his life, and ultimately end it. Soon, Morrison's denial wasn't just personal, it was public.
Yes, totally Brian Bosworth.
He began claiming his original HIV test was false, insisting he had never actually contracted the virus despite multiple tests, and it didn't stop there. He started pushing dangerous conspiracy theories, claiming his diagnosis was orchestrated by a rival boxing promoter seeking to destroy his career, or even by government agencies working against him.
Now, I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again. As soon as you start bringing in justification by government agent conspiracy theory, you lose credibility. There is no credibility to be had if you are saying that the excuse for your problems is that government agencies have targeted you, or that a boxing promoter faked your AIDS blood tests.
Yeah, I was actually going to touch on that because at the time there was no bigger promoter than Don King. So who's like, if like, let's say like another promoter tried to push that narrative, Don King got more, he got more push, more money that he would definitely like outweigh that other promoter. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Who was competing with like, Don King? It's nonsense. It's nonsense.
Like whoever was like second to Don King was probably a distant second.
It's amazing.
Money and reach and everything.
And like I said in the first one, he's not doing himself any favors with that single nipple ring there.
But so it was 3 fights for 38 million, right?
But he didn't get to fight the first one.
Right, because of the blood test. So it's like
the blood test.
If it's a grift, it really did not pay out over time like I think he wanted it to.
No.
That's what's kind of weirding me out. I am intrigued. I don't know what's going on exactly.
Yeah, well, I guess the grifting part came because of the loss of the 38 million.
Correct.
And not that they were linked, like it was like a cause and action.
What I mean by the grift is we're going to see that he tries to stage a comeback, and he tries to convince the world that he never had AIDS. And so that's where it gets weird is, did he really believe that, or was he desperate and or delusional, or just lying, you know?
That picture looks like an ad you would see like on the subway or bus station for AIDS. Like, I have HIV, but I won't let it ruin my day.
Oh my God, yes, it does.
Oh man.
Oh
and
my.
It's right at the target audience too.
Yeah,
like, you know,
doesn't it?
buff white dudes at the gym.
Yeah.
God, you're right. It really does.
I'm gonna have to Photoshop.
You know what?
That. Like, I'm gonna take that out and put a quote in of that. I'll make an ad for us.
There's another picture we're going to see later that even looks more like that. Even more like what you're talking about. Yes, I don't let AIDS ruin my day.
Right. It doesn't. You know, I'm
His
a boxer. I won't let AIDS knock me out. You know.
Yes,
It's just
exactly.
Like corny shit like that.
And yes, look at this picture here. By the way, that is Tommy on the left, and on the right is a pre-facial surgery Mickey Rourke.
What? What? Who?
The guy with the hoodie
in the burgundy,
or the with
burgundy
the
shirt.
Yeah, or on the
beanie. You meant
the beanie. That is Mickey Rourke before the facial surgery fucked up his face.
Jesus Christ. He doesn't look anything like him.
Dude, Mickey Rourke in the 80s was a fucking handsome guy. I mean, he was like, he was in a movie called Johnny Handsome. You ever seen that movie? He was the main star. But what he did was he got plastic surgery and then kept boxing. So he fucked his face up and fucked it up with the plastic surgery, then fucked it on compounding the fuck up with the boxing.
Right.
And then got botched plastic surgery. I mean, the dude just never should have done anything.
And promoter Tony Holden watched the spiral firsthand. He said Morrison became obsessed with fringe internet forums, buried in pseudoscience and paranoia. The more he searched, the deeper he fell. And denial came with a cost. In the mid-2000s, years after Nevada and nearly every other state had revoked his license, he attempted an ill-advised comeback, recklessly putting himself and his opponents at risk. He somehow passed medical screenings in Arizona and managed to fight twice more.
You hear that? He somehow managed to pass medical screenings. I want you guys to remember that.
It's the dry heat that hides the HIV in the blood.
It's what?
It's the dry heat. It hides the HIV.
Cactuses.
Comebacks weren't really about competition. They were about validation. Morrison was desperate to prove he didn't have HIV. So desperate, in fact, that he invited the New York Times, yes, the New York Times, to oversee a medical test in 2007. Alongside that, he underwent 2 additional tests through a West Virginia sports authority. All 3 seemed to support his claim that he was HIV negative. But here's where it gets murky. Fast. Questions emerged immediately about the validity of the blood samples. Medical experts noted serious doubts about whether the samples even came from Morrison at all. His former agent, Randy Lang, flat out accused him of tampering with the results. He even claimed he had tested positive as recently as January 2007, and ringside physicians weren't buying it either. They pointed right back to the original 1996 tests, verified by multiple labs and confirmed by a pathologist. Those weren't false.
So he was accused of faking the blood results, giving fake blood. I don't know how you do that.
I mean, I've heard of people bringing fake piss to a drug test, but I've never heard of them bringing fake blood. I thought they usually had to get that out with a needle.
You know what? I actually have heard of fake blood. There was a serial rapist who, Jesus, I can't remember where I heard this, but it was like one of those true murder porn shows. He was a rapist, and he was also a nurse, and he surgically put in a tube in his arm and filled it with blood so that it looked like a bulging vein.
Holy shit.
Oh, shit.
And when he became a suspect, the police department asked to draw blood to do a DNA test, and he said, "Sure, here, take it from this arm." And they pulled it out, but what he didn't account for was that the blood coagulated, and so when they withdrew it, they were like, something's not right here. So they took it from another part of his body where they got a fresh sample, and he admitted, "All right, well, I put this thing in my arm." Yeah.
Holy shit.
So I'm not saying that's what he did. I'm just saying, I guess it's not totally outside the realm of possibility.
I just need help a second because I'm a little confused. Excuse me.
Yeah.
For the blood, are they saying that he faked the not HIV blood, or HIV blood was faked back then? I'm confused which blood test they're talking about.
They're saying that when he staged this 2007 comeback, he submitted blood, and they were like, something's off with the blood.
Okay, that's why I was like, where the hell do you even get AIDS blood? Like,
I don't have any of the details on that, but I do have details we're going to see later about how he tried to fake it somewhere else, and how he did it.
Part of my confusion.
No, it's fine. Yeah.
False positives. They were hard medical facts. So why couldn't Morrison accept it? Part of the answer may lie in the intense stigma that came with his diagnosis. In interviews, Tommy talked openly about the isolation he felt. Friends avoided him. Gyms didn't want him around. Some people were so misinformed, they believed they could get HIV just by sweating near him. It was
by smelling him.
It was fear, pure, ignorant fear.
So essentially what he's saying is, and I gotta, like we always say frequently here, is that there's so much crossover with the Dabbleverse. He doesn't have friends, and he is being treated like a leper, and he says, I want friends again. I think of this as kind of like a Chad move, where Chad would say, you know, I don't know why everybody doesn't like me, because I'm just as funny and I'm just as talented as everybody else. And he literally
go to the HIV pile-on.
Yeah. and that he literally becomes desperate. This is his excuse, by the way. I'm not saying this is valid in any way, but his excuse is that he got lonely and was tired of being treated like a leper. So that somehow justifies putting other people's lives at risk by giving them AIDS. That is also another thing where your excuses do not justify your behavior, regardless of you know how silly it sounds. Even the imagination to come up with an answer can't justify what he did.
He's totally putting other people's life at risk. You know, even if it isn't instant death, it's like, you know, you're really shaving some years off with that.
You're doing something bad, or like we said on Wednesday, we had the special episode about Jack Edema. This guy gives a woman AIDS and then says, "Why are you being such a cunt about it?"
Jesus Christ.
You gotta be a little bit more self-aware and thoughtful of other people. Dang Lizard here. Clip it. I don't even know where to get AIDS blood.
You got the plug, Dang? Look at brother. Wait,
and that fear, the way it warped how people treated him, may have fed his delusion. Deep down, maybe he needed to believe the tests were wrong. Maybe that was easier than accepting the truth.
This is the point that I'm trying to, not the point, I guess. The question that we're trying to ask and understand is, what's true about his stance? You know, no. What's sincere about his stance? Did he really think he didn't have AIDS, or was he just a desperate, broke has-been who couldn't come to grips with how bad he had fucked up his life?
Yeah, I agree with the latter one. Yep. He can't cope. Like it went from peak to valley very quickly for him.
And I mean, and again, also like Dabbleverse, completely unable to accept the responsibility that your position in your life could possibly be your fault.
Yeah. We see that a lot.
He needed someone else to blame.
Possible third choice. Is like AIDS brain a thing like CTE?
Now, here's the thing. That's a fantastic thing that you brought up because I do.
Really?
Yes. And not AIDS brain. No.
Okay. I was like,
no. Not AIDS brain. But I do think CTE might have been a factor in this because when you think about the fact that he was fighting since the age of 13.
Good point.
And was fighting frequently, had 200 and some odd amateur fights, and now 20 something years have passed. That's probably a prime CTE candidate. So I think that to some extent, if it wasn't 100% of his behavior, it was definitely 51% of his behavior. I think it's a big part of this. But
no, AIDS brain. It's all AIDS brain.
Are you
getting an echo?
Are we dreaming? You're echoing.
You're
Sperg.
echoing, Sperg.
I told you I got to be careful with that because it's right
you did
next
it when
to my
you
mute
laughed,
button.
and it sounded really creepy when we were all laughing about my idiot brain, AIDS brain comment.
No, I'm so sorry. My bad.
I heard it too. I just thought it was a lag. And
Yeah,
I
thought he did it on purpose. I was like, oh, I thought he was like making fun of my stupidity.
No, I think AIDS brain is hilarious. I'm stealing it. I'm going to use that on people.
AIDS brain.
Look. Yeah, listen, AIDS brain.
Is that a hive mind is the HIV mind?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, just, you got to think about all the factors where you think about how delusional he was. He was crazy to think this, but then, we just have to wonder, was he being sincere about it? We don't know, but CTE could make you possibly second guess that maybe he was. And just something, we'll never know the answer, but it is just something to take into consider when you factor in everything.
And I think also when people once again, the Dabbleworth, let's say Aaron Imholt, when you lie so much, it becomes your truth. You don't even think you're lying anymore.
Yeah. 100%.
You say it so much, you convince yourself. So that could be it too.
Fern dog, an AIDS brain fart. Okay, so folks, this is going to get weird.
Even Magic Johnson, who had lived
Were you say something?
No, I was saying, it's going to get weird? That's what I'm sorry.
Yeah, going to?
It is.
Luckily, with HIV for years, tried to step in. He encouraged Morrison to take the diagnosis seriously, to follow his doctor's orders, to take the medication that was keeping him alive. But Tommy refused, a critical and ultimately fatal error. By 2011, his denial had gone from personal to dangerous. He was telling reporters and anyone else who'd listen that HIV didn't exist, that no one had it, that it was all a lie. And with that, Tommy Morrison went from tragic figure to a potential threat, not just to himself, but to the people around him. It wasn't just denial anymore, it was delusion, and it would cost him everything. Just when you thought things couldn't get any worse, they did. In the early 2000s, during one of the darkest stretches of his life, Morrison met Trisha Harding, the woman who would eventually become his wife. But instead of helping pull him out of the spiral, her presence seemed to accelerate it.
Now, his wife still has a Tommy Morrison channel that is completely devoted to debunking AIDS. and that he had it. She posted something a month ago.
Yeah. Also,
I don't really know what her agenda is or what her motivation was in all this. She's fucking crazy. She's nuts. And
is she really trying to convince people that AIDS never happened?
I don't know about entirely, but she is trying to say that Tommy Morrison never had AIDS. And she has this long explanation. She does interviews. And I'll be honest, she does interviews with shows that get worse numbers than mine. So I kind of considered possibly reaching out and seeing what she had to say. Just we'll see what happens. I don't know. Maybe I'll think about it. But
All right, fair enough.
What she's saying is nonsense. And she has this full explanation of what she believes killed him, but nobody really can substantiate it because he didn't have an autopsy. He was cremated. And also we have other eyewitnesses that say, or, other people close to him, like his mom, that says he told her he had AIDS. If you see the pictures of him, he looks like an AIDS patient, but she has just said all this stuff to say that it's all mistaken. It's nuts.
See, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Like, my question is, like, so why didn't they bother to accuse, like, Don King or somebody in the medical staff that produced the AIDS blood to get him out of that contract? I would be playing that angle. Like, they didn't want to pay me. They're trying to convince everybody that I got AIDS. They screwed me out of my money. That would be a better grift than trying to convince the world I didn't have AIDS to begin with. It almost seems like he's trying to cover up the actual truth instead of
that is where I think
a better story.
I agree. And that's where I think CTE plays a part, where he didn't think rationally. He lost brain power. If we believe the theory of CTE, Hamhead, that's actually a very good idea. He says maybe ask for a pre-recorded statement. That is not a bad idea, actually. But yeah, she does shows and literally just talks. I mean, within the past year, I saw several posts and interviews of her doing interviews about Tommy Morrison. We'll hear what her theories were. But yeah, that's where the CTE, I think, plays a part in it, where about delusion. We've seen what CTE does, and it makes people incapable of using their brain and their rationality. I don't know. I don't know. I do not know. But
I hate to hammer it on the
weird
guy, but yeah, like Brendan Schaub is a guy that we've seen it happen to almost in real time. He went from being a decent MMA fighter to getting his ass kicked. And that's something I wanted to bring up about Tommy Morrison. Like, they mentioned that he was taking the same route as Mike Tyson. He was being set up to be world champion, just like Tyson. And so, like, it doesn't make sense to admit to having AIDS when you don't.
No.
Unless somebody's trying to screw you out of your money, it's like,
I can't imagine the scenario where you come out looking like the good guy by saying, all right, I faked having AIDS.
Unless he was trying to get a late night TV show like Magic Johnson, Sheila E. was going to be his drummer or something. I don't know.
You know what?
I had to make a Sheila E. reference.
As well, you should. Sperg just gave me an idea. I mean, there is a world where maybe he saw the contract and Don King it was like a 70-30 split in Don King's favor. And he was like, to null and void the contract. He's like, oh, I got the HIV. And then retract it and try and get a new contract with somebody else. There is a world. That is a possibility. I mean, it's a little conspiratorial, but
it takes a lot of imagination, or like filling in dots that I don't want to fill in dots with this story. It's like crazy enough, but I mean, I guess it's still possible. Anything's possible. I'm not going to discount it. I have no idea. Especially when you think of Don King having a reputation for fucking people out of money.
Right.
Yeah, it's not something I can just throw away. But also, it's funny, you mentioned Brendan Schaub, and one thing that is interesting is I can't remember the name of it, but there's actually a medical condition that has the word pugilistica in the title that is specific to boxers or people who take shots to the head on a regular basis, in which they begin to lose motor function. And if you notice, and I think there's a correlation to CTE, but if you'll notice the voice change, and I think Brendan Schaub is a prime example of that, is that what his voice was during, like in his early days of UFC and what it was after are very different. Like he has a different tone, and it's like his tongue is not moving as fast in his mouth. And that's also something we're going to see when we see later video of Tommy Morrison. There is a very obvious voice change. And I think that, again, without being a doctor, it is a sign of CTE because they are losing motor function. They're losing brain function. This is interesting. Dang Lizard says, we had a lawsuit over this here. A guy put out a challenge for anyone to prove HIV exists. A person proved it, and the guy refused to pay. The court ordered him to pay because the proof met all conditions. That's interesting. Well, I'm not trying to put at all. I'm not trying to put any sort of spotlight on whether HIV exists. I fully believe it. The fact that this guy said it is what's crazy. That it didn't exist is what's crazy.
Luigi Greenberg, AIDS denier.
Boom, hot take.
According to multiple reports, his behavior shifted drastically after their relationship began. Very differently, and not for good reasons, as one insider put it. Trisha fed into the fantasy. She publicly claimed that Morrison didn't have HIV at all. In her words, he was suffering from Guillain-Barré syndrome. It was a convenient narrative.
Okay. Guillain-Barré syndrome. I thought I had this ready. Shit. Is a mysterious condition. Hold on, let's see here. A condition in which the immune system attacks nerves. And it can be triggered by an acute bacterial or viral infection. To fans of the Dabbleverse, this is what Crazy Cabby had.
Okay.
And there's actually a lot of mystery around it. Like, it's not totally clear what causes it, but basically you start to lose the ability to move your legs, and then it begins to spread out, and you become an invalid. I guess it's a lot like ALS. But she claims that's what he had. Again, she's not a doctor, but this is what she claims.
And a dangerous one. By this point, he had completely abandoned his HIV treatment. No more antiretrovirals, no more doctors, just drugs, lots of them. He was reportedly using cocaine and crystal meth regularly, and it showed. His health began to collapse under the weight of his choices. What followed was a vicious cycle. Denial fed into drug use, which weakened his immune system, which made him sicker, further convincing him that something else must be wrong. The truth wasn't just avoided, it was erased. But this wasn't just his own personal delusion anymore. He still had a platform. People still listened. And that made his denialism a public
Luigi,
threat.
can you pause for a second?
Yo.
Okay, so Sperg, because I think Sperg will get this reference. You're a fan of older wrestling, right?
Yeah, a bit.
Okay, does he look like Buff Bagwell?
Yes. No, I've been trying to figure out who he's looking like, and it's the goatee. 100%.
Yeah, I'm getting
his nose
Buff
is very
Bagwell.
similar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I figured you would get this. Yeah, from WCW. Hamhead might get this one too. He might get the reference too.
Buff
Sorry,
Bagwell.
I just had to point that out real
No,
quick.
I don't know that one.
I'll
His
send you a pic.
claims that HIV didn't exist, that it was all a scam, could influence others, especially those newly diagnosed and scared. Even with overwhelming scientific evidence and direct intervention from Magic Johnson, someone who had lived with HIV for decades, Morrison refused to listen. He rejected every opportunity to survive. At this point, the story had stopped being sad. It had become maddening, because his fate wasn't sealed by the virus. It was sealed by his refusal to treat it. He directly accelerated his own physical decline and ultimately guaranteed his premature death. From 2001 onward, those close to...
See, I get this reference. He looks like the Steiner brother that wore the headgear. Yeah.
Scott
Rick Steiner.
Yeah.
him
Rick
began
Steiner,
noticing the change. His body was breaking down, slowly at first, then rapidly.
By 2000, the former champ gave up his prescribed medicine for
sent you a pic in the
marijuana
chat,
and other street drugs such as cocaine and
Or I linked to
methamphetamine. In doing so, his health rapidly deteriorated, and by the summer of 2010, he was barely recognizable. In this picture, he was just 40 years old.
Whoa. Well, for reference,
40?
I'm 44.
Holy shit.
That is him at 40 years old. That's a mugshot, by the way.
Yeah. Like I said, he
It's
looked
still
like
a rough
Popinski.
ass 40. Whoa. Yeah.
So many Mike Tyson punch out references. He went from Super Macho Man to Soda Popinski.
Buff. Oh my God. I'm looking at your picture of Buff Bagwell.
Yeah.
He looks like a sad or a very bad white person playing Chinese in the 1980s.
It's the Fu Manchu style goatee that
and
both
the nose,
Tommy and Buff were. Yep.
But yeah, this is what he looked like, and believe me, there's actually another picture that's worse.
It's funny because AIDS Tommy Morrison looks like cancer Randy Couture.
Yes. And there's another one we're going to see later. It's so bad. But just withering away.
After a string of health complications over the next couple of years, Morrison finally passed away on September 1st, 2013, due to multiple organ failure and a cardiac arrest. He was only 44 years old.
44 years old.
There are still so many unanswered questions surrounding Tommy's life and death. Like, when did he contract the virus? How did he contract the virus? Why did he give up on recovery? Sadly, it seems unlikely that we'll ever definitively know the answers. I do think it's worth pointing out that after a lot of research, I was unable to find a story of a Morrison lover or ring sharer who ever contracted the virus as a direct result of himself. His 3 ex-wives and 2 sons all live healthy lives to this day, with Trey and Kenzie both following in their father's footsteps as professional boxers.
So that's a little weird. Okay, now, let me remind everybody, that was the recap. That was the summary of the story. And Gummi made this awesome clip of the 4 of us.
I like it.
We're happy, sad.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm going to set this up a little bit here so we get like the full scope of this. In 2007, there is a cable channel that no longer exists called Kush TV, Kush.
Oh my God, I forgot about that. You just unlocked a memory.
All right. They actually want to make a documentary about Tommy Morrison, but their channel fails before it can be aired. But you can find this online. And I don't know that it was ever officially aired. Let's see here. This starts on December 24th of 2006 and highlights Morrison's battle in and out of the ring as he fights his way to glory back in the arena to his decade-long struggle with the alleged HIV virus. Let's see. I don't think there's anything really else important to talk about, but this is crazy. Like, this is fucking insane what we're about to watch here.
Real quick, Luigi.
Yeah.
I don't know if this comes up later, but what about the implants?
Yeah, I don't know if that gets covered. Good thought there. So those pictures that they showed of him earlier, were like, you know what? I don't mind going back. So like there were a couple of images they showed of him where they talk about his body getting a little weirder after he lost a championship. He went through several, I'm looking for it. Whatever. Oh, there you go. Right there. He went through several implant surgeries to replace the wasted muscle. Those are chest implants he has.
Yeah.
And then he also got shoulder and arm implants because he was wasting away. What's weird is that he apparently gets called out on it. We're going to see that a little bit later. And he says, well, yeah, I lost a lot of weight, but it was because I was doing a bunch of drugs, not because of AIDS or from HIV.
and also the infection.
Yeah. So that is part of what the wife claims is what killed him, was that he got pec implants and got an infection because the doctor in Mexico left a bunch of gauze inside his body underneath the pec implant, and she claims that he got an infection and died. that is what caused him to have sepsis and not AIDS. Anyway, but yeah, it gets complicated and weird. The story changes a few times. Her story changes a few times. At one point she says it was an infected bug bite, and then she says that's part of where her credibility, like Lynn, just goes crazy, and that she doesn't stick to one story. But this documentary is insane because it just starts in a crazy place. And this is going to give you an idea of what we're dealing with as far as Tommy Morrison, 2007, and where his brain is. So I'm going to turn this up a little bit just so that we hear it.
You don't know if you ever had the virus.
I've never seen confirmation that I ever had it.
Again, I was talking about the voice change. You hear that voice change?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've never seen a piece of paper that said I was HIV positive. I was just told. You can't pass it sexually from man to woman anyway. It cannot happen. I don't care what people tell you. It cannot happen. It happens from man to man because that's forbidden of God. You know, it's an abomination. You're going to pay the price. You know, what causes AIDS is drugs.
So there we go. That's what we're dealing with. He is denying that AIDS is even possible to be passed from man to woman. I guess he's now back on the train that AIDS does exist. I guess. I'm not totally sure. But what he is saying is that God does not allow it to be passed from man to woman. So back to the CTE discussion. This guy's a fucking lunatic now. But he thinks he is still perfectly fine and fit to make a comeback. I've been using
rubbers all this time and I didn't need to.
Well, you don't have any little corn babies. That's what you were trying. That's what you were.
That we know of. That we know
That's
of.
right. That we know.
Yeah. So this guy is gone. He is gone. But then we're going to see throughout this that maybe he's not. I got to tell you, I can't draw any conclusion because the story is just so fucking crazy. Yes. Jake, is that the real Jake Hudson? Hi, Jake.
That's Jake Hudson.
Nice to have you.
Yeah.
Liked and shared. Thank you very much. Yes, please hit the like button, subscribe, become a member, all that stuff. But we just want you to have a good time. Learn something. But yes, so as we just learned, AIDS fake can only be passed between guys. Moving on.
So you have no qualms about possibly contracting that sexually?
No, I'm not worried because I'm not worried about getting something that isn't there.
If it's not there, keep acid.
So, if a tree has AIDS in the forest, no one gives a fuck.
Exactly where I went to.
So we're going to hear his theory on how AIDS works. And again, no one here is a doctor. No one here went to medical school, but they all seem to have theories about how the body works and the science of viruses and antibodies. This thing is really eye-opening. This is nutty.
A very special guest in studio.
Very familiar with my story?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It's been a hell of a journey for me. You know, the last 10 years of my life has been pretty amazing.
See what I'm saying about the mouth movement and the tongue movement?
Sounds drunk.
It's so different now. And
Sounds like Alex Jones.
Yeah. It's almost like the tongue is bigger. Like they just can't move it as much. And I see that if you see a lot of MMA fighters and a lot of boxers, it seems very common from people with head injuries.
Back in '96, I just signed a Pentacle deal of a lifetime. And that was the first year that they started testing for HIV. And I bounced in there and took my test, and they told me I failed it. Well, it just didn't add up, I mean, I didn't think I had it then. I still don't. So my career got postponed. and I lost $40 million because of a false positive. I'm 37 years
Then
old now,
take
but
the
I'm a
test
young
again,
37 the last
stupid.
10 years.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, you're feeling the outrage that we felt when we watched it, or we all felt when we first did this. And the reason that I'm showing this is because I think this guy's just lying. I just think this is a desperate person who just stopped caring about the safety of himself and others because he wanted money.
Yep. Yeah,
So
I think
that's where I landed.
Years I've been healing. I want to be able to fight again.
Oh, I didn't hear you. I'm sorry. What?
That's okay. Could it also be that maybe he does have CTE, right?
Yeah.
And his wife is to him what Joshua Fabia was doing to Diego Sanchez, filling his head with truths.
I was afraid to make that comparison because I thought it sounded like shameless self-promotion. But yes, 100%.
Raging Bull, Jake LaMotta. That woman was parading LaMotta around in a wheelchair for how long? He didn't know what was going on. She was literally doing her act with Jake sitting behind her in a wheelchair. Like, not even come see Jake LaMotta and his wife. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm not surprised.
Not that far off, but the Joshua Fabia connection I absolutely made. I was like, I thought to myself, it didn't, even though I thought that maybe it didn't feel right because maybe I was exaggerating. So the fact that you validated that, thank you. Yes.
She 100% would have made Tommy Morrison have an OnlyFans if they was around back then.
Yes. So look, before Tommy can fight, he has to pass a blood test saying he does not have HIV.
What?
I said I'm a little tired. I can go sleep. I mean, everything has been building up to this point. Today is the day of truth. They're going to call John Montagna, who's the athletic director of the state of Arizona, and he'll meet us down at the doctor's office. I'm going to bounce in there and take the same test I took a long time ago, and I plan on passing it. And I got up and read my horoscope, and it said everything today will go as planned. And it was.
It's something else I just kind of thought was a little funny that he's. You there?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
I don't know what happened there. Is that me?
Yeah. That was another funny thing that he was getting up and reading his horoscope, and I'm just sitting here thinking, maybe that is brain damage. But he's taking his HIV test.
So much fun.
Go right into the room.
All right.
Number one there.
How you doing, buddy?
Okay, in good, in bad, no matter what, we're together.
Hey, we're in it to win it.
We're together forever.
So all the confidence that we had in the previous scene of her saying it's not there, and now she's saying, well, whatever happens, that shows that that's not a fully confident answer in him having the HIV. Seems a little odd. Whatever. I feel like I'm not
there's
articulating
definitely cause
that
to
well.
doubt there.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing. All right, let's get her done. Bring me some needles. Let's get her done.
Bring me some needles.
I guess this is.
Vinny Rose, thanks for being here. Is he really John Wayne's nephew? It is up for debate. There is a story that he is really. There is also a story that his manager made that story up for publicity. Don't know.
Anticipation of relief.
Publicity has a lot to do with boxing, for sure.
I mean, it's not that unbelievable that it's a completely fake story,
Yeah, and grand uncle is distanced enough where you're not saying directly grandfather, so it's like it's only one step away, but it's enough that it's distance enough where it's like it's possible.
And in a world pre-internet, no one really had the ability to go check. Yeah.
I just can't wait till this is a thing of the past, It's an issue that doesn't come up anymore.
Normally it takes about a week to get back. Okay. So we're looking at about a week.
Awesome.
As he waits for the results of his HIV test.
All these laces are hanging down here.
Steps up his train around.
Calm down. You being all upset with me.
not really worried. There's a huge difference, but also a fine line between being scared and being nervous. Jesus Christ. Being nervous is natural. But being scared is, it keeps you from pulling the trigger. You know what? I think a lot of this shit is not knowing what's going on.
Now, again, this is very different than the confident person that we saw earlier. Seems a little odd.
You know what I'm saying? I want to know all this shit over with. We can talk to everyone.
So 1 week later, he gets the news.
Hey, hi.
I don't know what the fuck is going on with this. Not sure what this guy's doing, but this is Randy. And this becomes a very big part of this story. This is Tommy's lawyer, Randy.
What the fuck is on his head? Oh no, that's a tree branch behind him. Never mind. I'm sorry. I thought that tree branch was
there is something on his head. I don't know what it is though. Yeah, I guess he's trying to be funny. I don't know what it looks like a weight almost.
How you doing? Congratulations, I got a call from Carl. You passed the test.
I knew it. I knew it.
His lawyer just told him he passed the test. You notice who didn't tell him was a doctor.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're.
I'm excited. I mean, now everybody else can get excited with me.
They're going to want to fly us to Vegas, have Tommy sit down with Bob Arum, and sign a contract now. And everything from here on out is going to happen like fast and big.
I know I was put in this position for a reason. For the last 8 or 10 years, I didn't know what that reason was. This will be the greatest comeback in the history of boxing ever.
Greatest comeback boxing ever. Better than fucking George Foreman? I doubt it, sir.
This is cool.
So now they are in West Virginia where the fight is going to be. Woo!
Got a little adrenaline rush, boys. Let's do it.
If anybody wants a copy of this, I will send it. I've edited a lot out of this. Just trying to stick to some of the important stuff.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Hey man, I think your internet's dropping out.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Your fucks with the internet, so I might be popping in and out, so I apologize ahead of time.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah, so if I pop in and out, it's unfortunately small town life. It's storming here, so when that happens, it fucks with the internet.
All good.
Yeah, same here.
Finally.
Yeah, all good. All good.
Here, baby. All right. The most frustrating part is all the, just the politics of the sport. These people, they have a hard time admitting that they made a mistake.
You hear that? They have a hard time admitting that they made a mistake.
Everybody's fault but his.
They being doctors and AIDS.
Right. No, again, like you mentioned before, it's external issues that are not his, they're out of his control. He has this is not his fault in any type of way.
Nope.
So weird.
Everybody else's fault, including the entire medical industry.
It's like he's not accountable at all.
At all.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you guys think he was like a modern day Samson? Like he cut off the mullet and then he got HIV? Like if he would have kept the hair, he wouldn't have gotten anything?
And a woman did it to him.
Yes, there you go. You see? So I think if he would have kept the hair, he'd be disease free.
All right.
$40 million career by giving me a $39 test.
Tom, are you under the care of a doctor for anything at this time?
No.
Are you taking any type of medication?
No. He asked me if I had any, infectious diseases. I said no. Of course, he already knew. They ask everybody those questions. Nope.
Is AIDS an infectious disease?
Like girls?
No. Yeah, like girls.
Define infectious.
Yeah, he asked me if I like women. Yeah, he caught me there.
No, but my dick does.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Appreciate it, man. I'm happy to be here. 220.2.
220.2.
It was a little odd to be back in the game. Walk in there and feel that old feeling again, look into the eyes of the guy you're going to fight. I think I just want to go. I was looking in his eyes. He's scared to death. And he should be. He's I watched some film on him. He's in really good shape. He's going to come to fight. I don't want to go out there and look like I haven't fought in 11 years. I want to go out there and look good, look seasoned, look sharp.
I don't want to go out there and look like
he fought in 20 years.
I was going to say he's more embarrassed or scared of looking like he hasn't fought in 11 years, as opposed to the very obvious look of having AIDS.
We done?
We're done. Let's go.
I don't know, Rumple Trenchcoat, a Columbo podcast. Jury's out. Whether HIV is an infectious disease.
Somebody hasn't watched the documentary.
Let's go. Do you know anything about this guy you're fighting tomorrow?
Yeah, I know his name. His name's John Castle. I think he's from Ohio, maybe. Something like that. Indianapolis? Yeah, something like that. I don't know.
I don't know why that's funny to me. Some place like Ohio, Indianapolis. Yeah, something like that. One of those.
Yeah, it's all the Midwest. Nobody gives a shit.
One of those.
Like, his voice sounds like he's like mid eating a sandwich when he
Yes,
talks.
I mean, it looks like it sounds like honestly, it sounds like my grandfather when he would take his dentures out. That's what it sounds like.
I don't know much about him. No one thought I was going to pass this test, because everybody's brainwashed by the media.
I wanted to keep all this in just to understand the argument he is trying to make. Wow. Yeah. Everyone is brainwashed by the media. AIDS doesn't exist. Nobody has AIDS. But if it did exist, God doesn't let it get transmitted between men and women.
Yeah, he's adding a condition. Here? Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. He's adding that condition like, oh, AIDS could exist if God wants it to, and only to people who are bad.
Yes. AIDS is how God punishes for evil deeds. But other than that, it doesn't exist.
Think of like now. I just imagine karmic. Real men don't get HIV. You
don't get HIV in Valley of Men.
A real man.
Am I the only one that hears Sling Blade? I'm sorry, and then I'll get off it.
No, that's a good one. That's it. That's it. Because the way that you do the Sling Blade is that you have to pull your jaw up, and that's what. And if you see his resting face, that bottom jaw seems higher than it used to be. So yes, 100% Sling Blade.
People believe what they read. They believe what they see on TV. But what they don't understand is a lot of the information.
Butt fucking for everybody.
Everybody, we're all going to get laid.
But the bottom line is, if I go out there and I pass all these tests and they have no reason not to give me a license and they continue to not give me a license, and that's clearly a discrimination case, and that's a big lawsuit.
I heard the slurring too just now.
Yeah,
discrimination. Like he was
discrimination. He's sounding a little Michael Ray Bauer-ish. But no, that is not discrimination. That is the safety of fighters. Fucking idiot.
So the bottom line is, I don't have it, never did have it. If you want to ask me something about what I'm going to do next and about my future, that'd be wonderful. But the HIV issue needs to be dead and buried.
So I think the reason I kept this part in is that we're seeing like a real insight into his brain, in that I've dealt with people like this. If it's done in my head, it should be done in your head. If it's not an issue to me, it shouldn't be an issue to anybody. Oof.
They can't believe
especially things that are a threat to other people.
Yes, the safety and lives and well-being of other people.
That the medical field could be wrong, and they do it all the time.
I'm staring at his jazz fingers.
Yeah, and he says,
"You go back like 5 seconds." I'm sorry. Watch him rant while doing jazz fingers. It's amazing.
Almost Macho Man. Almost. AIDS doesn't exist, and I'm telling you that now. Cream of the crop.
But listen to what he is saying.
HIV.
This is a boxer. This is not a medical professional. He is saying that the medical industry gets stuff wrong, according to his words, all the time. Yeah, with
all the time.
Have it, never did have it. If you want to ask me something about what I'm going to do next and about my future, that'd be wonderful. But the HIV issue needs to be dead and buried. They can't believe that the medical field could be wrong, and they do it all the time.
You're a liar. Ooh, yeah. Pre-fight ESPN interview, 24 hours to fight. Now, this is going to look like nothing's happening, But I am going to ask you guys to pay close attention because this is very important to this story.
Never. These assholes start getting in my face, so you need to get up and say, hey.
Yeah, you don't get up and walk away no matter what. Just stay calm, man. Stay calm.
He is nervous about doing this interview, and he is specifically saying to his team that he expects them to ask questions about the HIV and that he doesn't want to answer it. Again, Mr. Confident earlier in this documentary seems to have a lot of things that he's not very confident about.
I'll be on your toes here.
Oh, I am.
HIV is his kryptonite.
HIV.
I want that to be a shirt. HIV is my kryptonite.
Ladies and gentlemen, 6 feet 2 inches tall, 250 pounds. Here is Tommy
I'd really rather let's just let them do this.
Why haven't you brought a lawsuit against the state of Nevada or against anybody?
Now, it's a little hard to hear. It's not great audio, but he asks a very valid question. If you feel this strongly that you never had AIDS, why didn't you sue anybody?
Exactly. Especially in the 90s. Everybody was sue happy. You know, it was like a new thing. You couldn't take anybody to court then.
Seems like a pretty reasonable question. You say you never had this, but because someone said you did, you got fucked out of $38.5 million, but not one lawsuit?
Hey, you deprived me of a $38 million contract, deprived me of 10 years of the best of my athletic life.
Well, that's a very good question. And a lot of people ask me that. Being exiled from the sport that that I loved, so people ask me, why did you wait so long, before you started fighting? It's like, I had to go through some personal things and through a process and through continuing to educate myself before.
Because I was continuing to educate myself and I got busy. is essentially what his answer is. I had to do other stuff, other stuff, and stuff.
That's what I tell people when I don't want to seem. Well, go ahead, Gummi, you first.
No, I was saying the only AZT I need is my Arizona testing.
My Arizona iced tea.
That's what
and he just says, I was continuing to educate myself. Sir, it's been 10 years since this 11 years since this happened. Do you feel that you've been adequately educated? And now you can maybe sue somebody? Maybe.
Make a decision to fight me.
Or what did you have to submit here in West Virginia in order to get licensed?
So he just says, what did you have to submit to get your license here?
Well, you have to go through the, eye exam, neurological, all that. They don't require blood.
The eye exam?
Test here, but they wanted to see.
He brought his wife into the room to prove he wasn't gay. That was, I don't have AIDS. I'm married to a woman.
And he says right there, the reason they're fighting here is because West Virginia doesn't require a blood test.
Which we,
yeah, I thought I heard that.
Yeah, but he says, but I got one anyway. That's what he's saying.
Jump through our butt to show them what they needed to see. People
Who did those blood tests?
Okay, now this is a little hard to see. I'm going to make this big. So Tommy's lawyer, which do you remember Tommy's lawyer's name? It was Randy. Okay, says, "Excuse me, on behalf of my client, I don't want you to answer that." First off, that's not the way you say that. On behalf of your client, you're answering for your client. He's saying, hey, Tommy, on behalf of you, I don't want you to answer that. That's just not the way you say things. Seems a little odd.
Yeah, my client, I don't want you to answer. That's private, and I don't want you to answer.
Ruffled trench coat. They tested my hearing in case I had hearing aids.
Nice.
That's good.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Okay, so what we just saw there was the guy at ESPN was like, hey, dude, I think you're really laying down a bunch of bullshit. I don't buy it. I don't believe it. But then Tommy's lawyer steps in and says, don't answer this guy's questions. All right?
Tommy Morrison, y'all.
So with less than 24 hours to fight, Tommy's opponent is having second thoughts.
There's something going on something that Wally Matthews is bringing up. What's going on?
Wally Matthews was interviewing John Castle, the opponent for Tommy Morrison, for the fight tonight, and he came up and was talking.
So apparently his opponent is like, hey, does he really have HIV?
Right.
Wait a second.
Wait a minute. Which
I would almost bet the doctor was called up the opponent and was like, I did a favor for Tommy, so maybe you don't want to take this fight. And then just like hung up the phone and let it go. And he's like, I'm not taking this fight. Fuck that. I'm not going to gamble.
Sperg Snake?
What?
You know what? I'm not going to say anything.
Don't do that with the silence. You made me nervous.
Yeah,
I'm like, what did I say? Did I drop the N-word or something? Jesus Christ.
No. No.
I get you. I know what you're. Yeah,
something very similar to that is what happened.
Okay.
I mean, yeah. Like, hold on. Buckle up.
About the HIV thing with Tommy, and
it is funny that it's called the HIV thing. We call it a Tommy.
It was explained to him that he had been through numerous tests, that he'd been run through the gamut of tests, and he passed them all. And then Wally said that, are you going to take their word for it, or are you going to make them show you some paperwork that everything's cleared up? What's going to happen if you don't, if you end up dying of AIDS, who's going to take care of your kids? And, so the kid's scared to death and he doesn't want to fight,
What a pussy.
Yeah, this is typical where the boxer wants to try to.
Okay. Listen to this. This again is Tommy's lawyer. All right.
Certain boxers, they start getting so nervous. Tom, even at his worst, is probably going to give this guy severe beating. The reality is, I think the guy's getting severe cold feet. I'm prepared for this. I have a copy of the blood test. Okay. This blood test.
Now, do you guys remember the sheet of paper earlier? That is the same sheet of paper.
Shows that Tom is negative. Tom has taken all these tests, and that Tom has been subjected to all the requirements that are necessary under West Virginia's and Ohio's boxing rules. Tell him I don't want to disclose anything I don't need to disclose, because I'm tired of my boxer having to go through basically selective scrutiny, which is a form of blacklisting, a form of discrimination as well, and have to go through repeated blood tests and hoops
because he has HIV. Like, he's saying this like this is unreasonable.
Nothing but indicative of constant selective focusing on him as a professional boxer.
Selective as in HIV.
Yeah, that's
alarms
the selected
going
thing.
on. Yeah,
right.
And discriminating
And
against him.
what year is this? 96, 97?
No, this is 2000.
later.
This is 2007.
Oh,
Yeah.
so Photoshop's a fucking thing, and this guy's got a Xerox copy of a blood test? Get the fuck out of here. 2007?
That's what I was saying. You guessed so remarkably close to what we're about to hear.
All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down, and in addition to that, the Boxing Commission is asking me to release Tom's medical records that he has, and any other information that Tom has in honor.
This dude was going to back out, wasn't he? Wasn't he?
Yeah, it seemed like he was thinking about it, yeah.
You're going to do that every single time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Tommy, you know why? Because you have HIV.
Fight day. Time is 8 o'clock. Today's a very big day for me. I got to prove myself again. When I get into the locker rooms and then I have a different spirit that comes over me, and I get in the zone. But up until
French fried taters.
then, I'm usually pretty calm.
Yes, exactly. Riffled trench coat. It is selective. We only test boxers who have HIV. Exactly.
What we're going to see tonight. You know, I feel like I'm going to be all right. You know, I just hope that they treat me fairly. You know, I'm not going to be a world champion right off the bat. I mean, everybody knows that. I got to walk. You know, I got to crawl before I walk. But everything's coming together really well, and I'm excited. I really expect some good things. I'm excited. You know, I'm ready to get back into this sport and put some smiles on people's faces.
Snazzy there, Mike.
Pretty dapper, huh?
Pretty dapper.
Yeah. Everybody be on the ball.
Yeah, be on the away from the corner.
How's that look?
Like you have HIV.
Hello?
Okay.
Well, okay, I need some feedback.
Yeah, it's better than the first. Yeah.
Absolutely, I expect to be rusty. I mean, you can't not do something for 11 years. You know, people come back and expect me to be a world champion.
Yeah, I expect to be rusty. I have AIDS. I mean, I don't have AIDS.
You know, they've never given me the benefit of the doubt. You know, I've always been subject to 10 times more criticism than anybody else.
Because of the AIDS.
You have AIDS. Yeah.
And he's 40 now, right?
He is 38, I believe.
Okay.
All right, but you have to clear out.
Okay, no video cameras are allowed.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, 6 feet 2 inches tall, 215 pounds. Here is Tommy Morrison.
Purple trench coat. That's probably how he got the AIDS.
It feels good, you know, come out here and knock some rust off. It's been a long, long time.
Okay. This is where it starts to get fucking weird, all right? There's some trouble brewing in Tommy's camp. Sperg Snake did a pretty damn good job. I'm guessing where this story was going.
Oh boy.
That sounds like slang that he has HIV, trouble brewing in Tommy's camp. It's like,
Oh no.
Just trouble brewing in Tommy's T cells.
yeah.
He sent this to ESPN.
Yes, these are Tommy's medical records.
That I'm HIV positive, I have hepatitis C. You know, Randy's got caught. He's greedy. He got
Randy, the lawyer.
figured out.
What does he get out of it?
Whoa, wait, what?
He gets
Okay, I'm going to explain the whole thing.
he gets to jerk off thinking that he's screwing up my career. You know, I mean, yeah, he doesn't. He's disgruntled. Randy Lang had planned his whole future with me.
The turn.
After Tommy's first fight, he and his lawyer Randy had a falling out.
So he released records.
He went and got. All of my blood work is done in Arizona from a laboratory called LabCorp.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the only ever done
That
anything.
sounds fake.
Well,
LabCorp.
Yeah, fishy as fuck.
LabCorp's actually a real thing. I can attest to that.
They're big around where I'm at. They do all the drug testing for businesses.
Yes,
No, but it's out of state.
Well, he was living in Arizona, so he's saying, "Oh, okay." But listen. But what you're saying absolutely still applies. What you're about to say. Listen to this.
Chuck pops up with this medical records that's supposedly mine from some laboratory called Specialty Laboratories from California.
So he was saying, I live in Arizona. I get my testing in Arizona. But the piece of paper that Randy's lawyer gave to the boxing commission where he was in West Virginia had a lab from California. And he is saying, I've never been to California. If you're following, this gets weird. Okay. I'm going to explain the whole story. But supposedly Randy's lawyer sent the real medical HIV positive results to the boxing commission after the fight and said he faked them.
I'm getting a whole Always Sunny that it was Pepe Sanchez that did the whole thing.
I'm telling you, I tried to tell you guys this gets weird.
So I don't know. I never did any blood work out there.
Yes, look at all this paperwork ESPN sent me. He sent them.
I'm sorry, ESPN, not the boxing commission. He sent to ESPN. Sorry.
He had this plan in his mind. He was going to take me like Indian Castle reservations, and he was going to become this promoter extraordinaire. And really, he doesn't know anything about boxing. Accusing Peter and everybody of doing all this fraudulent stuff. And if there was
Peter is Tommy's promoter.
Any fraudulent stuff going on, it's him that was doing it. He's not an attorney.
But you didn't.
You hear that?
But I had no idea. Through my life, I have a divorce, I have lawsuits, all this stuff that he was supposed to be doing. And, for the last 13 months, he's done nothing on any of them. And the reason why is because he's not a lawyer. He can't do anything with it. He has to pay other lawyers to do it for him. That's what he does.
Oh.
So this guy was holding himself out as Tommy's lawyer and representing Tommy, like we see in that ESPN interview where they say Tommy's lawyer. Turns out Randy was never a lawyer. So I actually found this article from June 9th, 2007. Morrison faces new allegations from former associate. Now listen to this. This is going to get a little crazy. Stop me if it gets complicated, okay? On Saturday night, Morrison stepped into a cage to fight a 325-pound sheetrock worker while a former associate, Randy Lang, is hurling allegations that Morrison is still HIV positive. Lang, who spent roughly 10 months, Tommy there says 13, in Morrison's camp, lodged accusations of possible blood tampering and fraud and said that the boxer tested positive for HIV as late as January, but still fought a month later in West Virginia, claims Morrison strongly denies. Quote, I only know what the doctor told me and what Randy told me. I am negative, Morrison said. I went and took all the tests. They told me I'm fine, the doctor and Randy. Randy is a greedy person. He got exposed and now he's trying to hurt me. The end quote. The latest round of Is He or Isn't He was played out with the backdrop of the Arizona desert where Morrison defeated John Stover in Morrison's unsanctioned mixed martial arts debut. Fighting in a cage on a clear night, Morrison knocked out Stover, blah, 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 blah. Since the fight was being held on the Yavapai Apache Nation Reservation outside the Arizona State Boxing Commission's jurisdiction, Morrison did not need a blood test. That much was known. Okay, so follow me here. There was this fight that we had the video of. Then there was a second fight on a Indian reservation.
On a reservation where he can get, actual work because...
And he didn't need to give a blood test. Yes.
Right.
So then, for some reason, which we still don't really know, his quote unquote lawyer starts selling him out and sending all of the real medical paperwork to ESPN to sandbag Tommy. I'm guessing he probably just had developed a conscience and was like, we can't do this anymore. This is bad. Lang said Morrison was a chain-smoking 194-pound shell of a former heavyweight champ last September when he began training in a gym in Phoenix. He said he wanted to restore Morrison's health, then help him continue his livelihood in boxing. Lang said he cut ties with Morrison on February 25th when he suspected the Morrison camp was either doctoring blood tests or falsifying documents. Morrison said he fired Lang when he realized Lang, who has been identified by numerous media outlets as an attorney from Glendale, Arizona, wasn't a lawyer. Lang, who later acknowledged that he isn't licensed in the state of Arizona, is known at the State Bar of Arizona as a man who's been reprimanded for representing clients without a license. Yvette Gray, an attorney for the Arizona bar, said they are investigating Morrison's complaints about Lang. So, a grifter got grifted by another grifter. This guy was apparently a known lawyer impersonator and was representing Tommy Morrison.
See, and that's what I was just going to say. It's like he was there probably milking him.
Yep.
And then when Tommy was like, "I'm not giving you any more money," he was like, "Oh yeah, you're not."
And
just like how Yeah, you know what I was going to say. He had to buy his own freedom. It was the same type of
Fabia. Yeah, Fabia.
Thank you.
Yeah, so you're right. You're totally right. But I'm going to actually go and say I seriously doubt Tommy didn't know that this guy wasn't a lawyer. I feel like there was definitely something going on there. But here's my favorite quote from this article. Quote,
didn't know.
I'm not the issue, Lang said. The issue is, does Tommy Morrison have HIV?
Yeah, I mean, that is the point. So
I guess it is, but he's also saying, hey, don't focus on me.
You're right.
Yeah. Now, it's what you were saying about a conscience. I don't think so. I think he was like, look, like, I think Tommy knew he wasn't a lawyer. And so Lang was like, look, man, this shit's going to be a lot of work having to, put all this shit under the rug. So we got to go from 10 to 30%.
Oh.
And Tommy was like, no, fuck you. And he's like, oh, really?
He goes, you ain't going to tell anybody. Well, you ain't going to tell anybody about me. Well, you ain't going to tell anybody about me. And he called his bluff.
Yeah. And it's like, look, your lie's worse than my lie. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly the argument I suspect is that there was a standoff and he was like, well, go ahead and snitch me out. Well, no, you go ahead and snitch me out.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
then,
right. Yeah, you won't.
Joke's on you. I'm snitching out of both of us. It's like,
God, it's hard to argue. I mean, yeah. So again, I'm speechless by this because when we were doing this first episode and all this other stuff came up, I was like, holy shit, we didn't even get halfway down this rabbit hole.
This lawyer thing was like nothing for us. We knew nothing about any of that.
Yeah. And as I was watching this documentary, I was like, what's the story here? Simple Google search about Tommy Morrison and this guy popped up this ESPN article. So here we go. So Peter, the promoter, finds
if you look at this Randy
discrepancies.
Lang thing, and if you were just me, and if you started going through pages, here he's writing over to Matt Rizzo to Bob Arum, Las Vegas.
Oh, and a point that I'm sorry, a point that I didn't think to mention was, unfortunately, this lends credibility to some extent to the argument that Tommy didn't have AIDS because of the fact that this person claiming he did also doesn't have credibility. This person is obviously a criminal and, impersonating lawyers. They're obviously a scam artist in their own right. So it's too easy for Tommy to say, this guy's saying I have AIDS, but he's a known liar. And that's kind of muddying the waters. Just a weird little aspect to this.
And he writes, Randy D. Lang, personal attorney.
Yeah, I think we're all victims in this whole thing. But, when you start saying I'm an attorney, what do you do? I mean, Tom believed it and everybody believes it. You know what I'm saying? Right. And here is a file of fraudulent stuff, and we're all embarrassed. I mean, it's embarrassing to me that I've even brought Randy Lang to go see Bob Arum, the biggest promoter in the whole world, a billionaire. And I said, he's Randy Lang, the attorney. What do you think I feel?
My agent one day, and then he's my personal attorney the next.
Well, now they are. No, I mean, on there it says personal attorney for Tommy the Duke Morrison. Yeah.
Listen, I got an extortion letter right here that he's demanding $85,000 if it's not paid by May something or whatever, or he's going to go to the media and sabotage every place Tom goes.
Well, I don't know. I'm just anxious to get he's like a sticky booger on your finger, and I just want to get him out. And I don't know.
An AIDS booger.
Oh, you see me to it. I'll just say Tommy Morrison's AIDS booger with the 5 gifted subs.
But isn't this story wild? Like, this is now giving fuel to people to say maybe he doesn't have AIDS because the person accusing him of it is a known liar. This is fucking crazy.
And it's Jenga AIDS.
Well, it does, and it does apply to a lot of the stuff that we watch in our spare time.
Yes.
Nobody's credible, and it's all a load of shit.
And nobody takes accountability. No one's being honest. No one wants to admit that they might be wrong. No one wants to admit they might have fucked up and that they're in the position they are in as a sole single responsibility of their own life decisions.
Right. Nobody made them choices for them. Right. Yeah, exactly. I find it strange.
You know what they're doing? They're playing Grifter Uno, where it's like, draw two, you have AIDS. Here's my reverse card, you're a liar. Well, then here's my reverse card, the liar is a liar. Oh yeah, well, draw four, the government's bullshit. Like
the government's bullshit.
Like it's just one big Uno game.
Reverse conspiracy.
Yeah.
What's crazy is that what started this whole show, Skeptical Robot, was that I wanted to tell the story about the Amityville Horror in its entirety because there was a story that fascinated me. And the way that I described the Amityville Horror story was Game of Thrones of con men. It was so many cons being done at the same time where some con men were trying to out-con other con men. And it just turned into a competition by the end of the story. And to some extent, that's what we have here, is that two grifters trying to out-grift, and nobody knows what the truth is. It's insane. This is absolutely insane.
It's like Lord of the Rings. This one, it's Lord of the AIDS. Like one does not simply take an AIDS exam.
You know what? I was thinking. You said Jenga of AIDS. I'm thinking of a Jenga tower made out of hypodermic needles. Ding Lizard. What's worse, pretending to be an attorney or pretending to not to have AIDS? I'm gonna go with the AIDS one.
Yeah, I think that's what Randy was betting on. Is like, me lying about being an attorney isn't as shitty as lying about not having AIDS.
Yes,
potentially giving it to people.
Exactly. Gummy on fire tonight.
Thank you. They're doing, see if anyone gets this reference. They're doing the Dragon Ball Z fusion, and he's actually an AIDS lawyer. He's an AIDS attorney, so he's like both.
Oh, it's like he has to do a dance and then fuse it with himself.
Because it's choice 3. He's not an attorney AIDS, it's an AIDS attorney.
This is, just such an it's crazy. When I was like, as I was learning this, I was telling Gummy, I was like, dude, we did not scratch the surface. Now, would you believe this story gets even maybe a little weirder?
I don't know how.
Oof. Let's keep going. I'm gonna let this play for a couple minutes because I got to go pee. I'll put the volume down just a tiny bit. I'll be right back.
Oh, you don't have a pee mic?
I need one. I need a piss jug. That's what I need. A Riley Martin piss jug.
That was a Naked Gun thing, right? Where he went and took a piss and he was mic'd up.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's funny. Sorry, before I left, I was going to read that. It said, because of the fallout with the lawyer, his boxing career gets sidetracked again. Oh, yeah, and the AIDS.
Not his fault.
We are selling tickets.
Okay, now this is the fight actually at the Indian reservation. All right, so we're gonna see what happens here.
MMA makes male AIDS.
That okay? This is Gummy nailing it tonight. Okay, you know what's funny, Ding Lizard? We got fake lawyers, we got fake blood. Next, we get fake boxing. You don't know how right you are. So what happens here is that they're calling this an MMA fight. I left some of this in. You're going to see that it's just a show. All right?
Because this is an MMA event. We're selling tickets because Mr. Tommy Morrison is going out there. And let's just hold it. Tommy Morrison can deliver. So I'm a little worried. Are you a little worried?
I don't know. You seem pretty worked up.
He could deliver it through needles. He could deliver it through sex.
I don't know. I don't know what to say. I'm scared just like everybody else is.
These guys are crazy. There's rules and everything. So you never know what's going to happen. I'm like, you need to find out if I can elbow then. I stand up strike. I don't know if it's no kicking grappling, but you throw elbows or not. They said no. They said no, but if it goes, it goes. It's one of them things. There's no rules here. You know, this guy could run out there and kick me in the nuts for all I know. I got to be on my game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
I think I can take this guy out with one shot. These guys aren't used to getting hit. None of them are. Yeah. You know, he's getting hit and grabbed and yanked around and maybe choked or pushed.
Yeah, he's got mashed potatoes mouth.
You know? All right, we're waiting on the other guy. What's the deal?
Getting ready to take some pictures and then we're going to the VIP.
Take pictures for what?
That I don't know.
Well, okay, that's what we need to find out. We can't just let people start.
That's what I'm saying.
Get some fucking rules here.
No, it's a boxing match.
Okay. Hey, Jerry, two people are talking here. One at a time.
In West Virginia, they did a shakedown and we had to pay the opponent more money. We're just going through the same thing. That's all.
All right, I'm back. All right. So, as y'all could hear, they're calling this an MMA fight, but they're also saying to him, there's no taking down, there's no kicking, and you're just going to be punching each other. Sounds like a boxing match.
Yeah. Yep.
But then also we're hearing his opponent also is saying, that AIDS thing true?
That's what I was just going to. Yeah, right.
Yes.
Oh, we got the opponent's threatening to back out if we don't give him more money. No, he's like, I got some paperwork here that makes me sketch on fighting him now. Just came to light.
Exactly.
We're going to pay the more money.
Is it maybe?
It's normal.
I'm sorry.
Okay, but there's no kicking and all that shit.
No.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Is it maybe they have to say it's quote unquote MMA with these rules because like they can't have a boxing match? Like maybe there's some sort of law where they can't have boxing, so they're doing like a quote unquote mixed martial arts, but with boxing rules. You know what I mean? Like it's just like a shell corporation of fighting. I don't know. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah,
like and they're hiding the fact that it's a boxing match.
It's not clear. More than likely, and I'm going to guess this is what's going on, is that they had a scheduled MMA event, and he said, "Can I tag along?" And they said, "We have to call it an MMA match because we can't just have a boxing match because that's the event. We're selling an MMA fight." I'm going to guess that's what happened, but who knows? AIDS.
Listen, we knew it was gonna shake down.
It's a shakedown. He wants free buffet food after the fight.
I mean, I would just
They said we took away no rolling on the ground, but there's still knees and kicking, isn't that?
This is funny. His opponent shows up in a hazmat suit. Way to go, friend dog.
What they said?
Who said that?
No,
It's either the way you want it or you're done.
Yeah, exactly. Great question. Great observation there, Rumple Trenchcoat. If there's a possibility of AIDS, what's that dollar amount to take that risk? And let's say you have a family and you have bills to pay. I can't think of a dollar amount.
I wouldn't even bother.
Last thing I need is another headache. Yeah. If you watch the Jackadema episode from Wednesday, this guy gets arrested for dealing drugs. He asks his girlfriend to bail him out. And when she bails him out, she says, "What happened?" And he goes, "Another fucking problem."
And left it at that.
She goes, "I had no idea why he was arrested and he wouldn't tell me. All he said was it was another fucking problem."
And she's the one who bailed him out.
Right.
Too, like,
yeah. That's
if
how
anybody's owed.
Right.
Yeah, that's how I think of AIDS. Another fucking problem.
Good right there.
Okay, now this doesn't have anything to do with AIDS. I just thought this was funny.
I feel good right there.
You didn't answer my question just now. Am I going to be sitting down between rounds?
I don't think so.
What do you mean you don't think?
Apparently he becomes a real whiny little bleeding pussy bitch before fights. He just becomes a total asshole.
I don't think. I want to know for sure.
I'll be down there with you shortly.
Then why? I have a camp here. It's you guys' responsibility to find this stuff out. Don't you know that?
Okay. Perfect.
Okay, somebody needs to go find out if we're going to be
They don't know that. They're not professionals.
We stand up. What goes on here, Mike? I need to know this stuff. You know what I mean? It's like everybody's standing around watching me and no one's doing what they're supposed to do.
It's a little different with this cage deal.
It's
a cage and there's Indians.
Not different in this locker room. Yeah. I ain't liking this shit.
It's a bridezilla.
Yeah.
How many fights away am I? 2, 3?
3, 4 fights away.
3 or 4. Now I don't want 3 or 4. I want 3 or 4. I need to know exactly what
I believe it's 3 fights.
I don't want to believe.
I'll find out for you.
You're much better looking trunks than last time.
Yeah, exactly that. I'll go find out. Jeez, what a retard. I'm sorry.
I mean, just do you need the answer right now? Do you need the answer right now? Like, what difference is it going to make right now? You're about to go out and fight. Let's say 5.
And the truth is, that's an indeterminate amount of time anyway. It could be 30 minutes or 2 hours.
And it could be
depending on if they go 8 or 10 rounds, blah, 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 blah.
And it could be based on your performance in those 3 or 4 fights.
Yeah. Like it could be all KOs or they could all go the distance.
Exactly.
Exactly.
You've not got 2 people, you might earn it. You never know. Let's say 5, as in high 5, as in HIV.
Hey, stolen joke valor.
That is a stolen joke valor. I'm gonna give I'll give myself one of these. There you go.
But in all fairness, I stole it from Opie and Anthony, so you know.
Okay, I got a question. If it goes into the second round and the bell rings and I come over, do you guys come in the cage? Do I have to get drink over the fence? I mean, how's that work?
That's what I just said. We can go into the cage with you.
Okay.
How about we figure that out when you need the water, Tommy?
Why is that such a big deal? Like,
because he's just being a cunt. He's just being a pissy
He's
little
in his
bitch.
own head. Yeah, he's worried about every other thing else except the fight because he doesn't want to do the fight, I'm sure.
Yes.
You know, oh, there's no water in my corner. I can't fight now.
I just pictured like a giant hamster bottle, like you know how they drink with their like they're like whipping their tongue to drink from that little to push the ball in.
It's on the end, and it's on the end of a stick because they don't want to touch it. Vinny Rose, yes, absolutely. These fighters are they're shaking down the promoters by signing up and then at the last minute saying, "I'm going to need more money." I don't know what a appropriate amount of money is, but Jesus Christ, but no, who wants to fucking do that? Yeah, it is funny. He's like, am I going to get water over the fence? Yes, you're going to get a water bottle with a condom on it.
Yeah, they're just going to spray it with a hose from a distance.
Yes.
Open your mouth.
We will not be touching you in any way.
You're on my skin. I hate that. Come on, Jared. Let's start warming up a little bit.
4-1. Double that.
Don't reach for me, Jerry. I'll come to you. Do it again. Meet me halfway.
Okay.
Walk into my punch.
I don't understand.
Yeah, exactly. Is this like the first training in 11 years is right now after he's all taped up and got his
That's
shit
what's
on?
really funny is like you're getting the impression that these guys don't know what they're doing. So then why are they there? But it gets funnier.
Have someone that can. Stay with what we're doing here, man. You gotta hang with me. Yeah, get with it here. Okay, why am I punching at your boobs? Huh? I'm not gonna be punching this guy's boobs. Yeah, you get up here with your face in. Right. We just did this the other day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Try again. Just go listen. There's a phone.
Phone case. See, right there. You gotta say what you mean what you say. That's not a phone. It's a phone case. That's what I'm talking about, the communication. I hear exactly what you tell me. You're telling me to step up and body shot, that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be looking like a dickhead out there. If I look like a dickhead, you look like a dickhead.
No, you're going to look like a dickhead with AIDS.
You look like a dickhead.
I'd be more embarrassed about the AIDS than be embarrassed about my performance. Because you know what? Good boxer with AIDS, bad boxer with AIDS, you're still a boxer with AIDS. Like, you know what I mean?
Worry about that.
Yeah.
What makes you do that? Is it because you're scared? Is it because you're hurting?
Yeah.
Because when you're fading, that's when I'm hyperextended.
I know.
Give it to me. Put that on. Put it on. Step back and jab me. Step in and jab.
He's the one fighting, and now he's holding mitts for his trainer.
Meeting you. Left hooks, meet. Right hook, meet. Meet. And you're not
That's
doing
what I mean.
it.
Like he hasn't been in a gym. He's like trying to get his promoter to be his gym guy now or something.
That's what's weird is like he's telling them, "You're my trainer now, and I'm going to teach you." That's not how it's supposed to work. Yeah.
What do you want?
It's like a kid. Meat.
That's how he got in this problem in the first place.
Damn it.
Yeah, sorry, I was late with that.
I'm gonna do whatever you tell me to do. Where were you? You said 1, 2. And you gave me 7, 2. Am I pissing you guys off? Am I being difficult? Or am I just asking you, telling you what I need? No. Fuck this, man. Fuck this. Fuck. You don't know what?
That made me laugh. Oh, sorry, that made me laugh.
Get in here.
Fight 8 is over. Okay.
Let me get somebody in here who knows how to do the bit. Look, I haven't done it for a while. This is not the way I like going out there.
I understand, Tommy.
I need a trainer that can hold the fucking gloves. I need a trainer that can keep up with me. Lisa, do you want to hold these?
Don't give it up.
You didn't say pick.
Rumpled Trenchcoat. They should play up the AIDS. Even if he wasn't that good, they could say, hey, not bad for a guy with AIDS.
Yep. Excellent point.
Excellent point.
So, Jerry?
Yes, I did.
No, you did not. You did not say it, or I would have heard you. Yeah. And I don't feel like we're figuring shit out right now. I feel like we're a cluster fuck. We're fucking Marx Brothers. Yeah, I'm telling you, that's how I feel. You're not going in there getting putting your life to risk.
AIDS-o Marx.
I was going to say, him saying the Marx Brothers, I lost my goddamn mind laughing at that. Look, the Marx Brothers.
I know I'm putting it on the line. That's right. All right, I'm ready. Please, will you put this on me? Normally people do that for you. Anybody got my mouthpiece? Anybody think about that?
Yeah. Okay, now that would legitimately piss me off.
Yeah. Dude.
They take it out the package without molding it to his mouth.
He just asked, am I being difficult? It's like, yeah, you're being fucking difficult, dude. Calm down.
I'll be the most surprised person in the human fucking world.
He needs better boxing aids.
You think there's like a warning for like, remember like the comedian Gallagher?
Yes.
Where they give you guys like the plastic thing, like warning you might get wet, like warning you might get AIDS. So we all got to wear the plastic thing to bring up. Like
they called it the splash zone.
Yeah. This is the AIDS splash zone.
Yeah, like the Pledge-O-Matic, he has the AIDS-O-Matic or his fist. Just like
can you just see someone like in the crowd, like a drop of blood like falls and just going, ah, ah, ah!
Yeah.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!
It's like when the drop of blood from 28 Days Later falls in the guy's eye and he freaks out.
and the same response too. Oh man.
Who knew AIDS would be so much fun?
As you can see, they weren't really giving him like top tier athletes to fight.
Is he fighting his trainer? He just changed shirts.
Right, no shit. That's a big boy.
So, as I said, this was unfinished. That's the footage. Okay. So someone just filled in the result. TKO. Morrison shattered his nose and cheek. So he won, at least. But how fucking crazy was that?
That is crazy. He's trying hard to get back in the ring, and ain't nobody having it.
No, and then I guess you could say he was sabotaged, or the truth got out, whichever one you want to lean on about it. Okay, so now we're gonna get a little weird. All right,
I just imagine the fighter he fought. It's like the doctor's like, you got good news and bad news. Like, what is it? You broke your cheek and your nose. Oh, okay. Wait. That's the good news. The bad news is you got AIDS.
You've been looking for a weight loss solution.
The good news is you'll fit in your high school sweatshirt pretty soon.
Before you know it. All right. These are two interviews he did in 2008 while he was trying to make his comeback. These are interesting, in my opinion. because he is very honest and direct as to what he believes, or at least what he claims to believe, and what his theories are as to why he believes he never had AIDS. These are nuts. Yeah. Oh yeah, I remember I said earlier when you said Gummi about when he was leaning on that heavy bag, and you said that looks like a like a medication lab. Look at this one. Yikes.
Oh my God.
In 1998, Tommy Morrison was 2 years removed from testing positive for HIV and being shut out of boxing. He had refused treatment or medications and had continued to have unprotected sex with his wife. Doctors predicted he had just months to live.
I'm 100% sure in my heart that I don't have anything to be afraid of, you know. And, you know, maybe it'll be an opinion that'll be appreciated, you know, 10 years from now.
This is Tommy Morrison 10 years later.
I'm not looking as crazy as they thought I were back, you know, 12 years ago. I mean, I remember at one point my T-cell count was 3, is what they told me. They're like, you know, clinically speaking, you're already dead.
Morrison points to the results of his...
Yeah, he looks weird. He looks weird. And so if you guys don't know this, you know what? I shouldn't even say too much. I guess I don't really even know it myself, but someone once told me that the reason AIDS patients look a little like weird with their body proportions is that AIDS medication distributes fat irregularly and inconsistently. Like when people get fat, it goes to your stomach and your thighs. But if you see like a person who has AIDS and they look like very thin, but there's this just weird disbursement of fat around their bodies, it's because that's what the AIDS medicine does. Anyway, all that to simply say is that's what he looks like. That's exactly what he looks like. And you're talking about how he's puffy and everything. When he takes his shirt off, you're like, man, there's an uncanny valley with his body proportions. Like it just looks you'll see what I mean.
Most recent test is
Tommy
evidence.
Morrison then
What's that?
looks like the AIDS Tommy Morrison then looks like Bret Michaels now.
Yes.
Look with the bandana and like the guy liner.
Right.
And that's what's funny is that eyeliner. I mean, it looks like eyeliner, but also it looks like his goatee is darker. Like,
he's definitely dyeing his hair and
yeah, it's just for men.
It's so weird, and he also looks like his
unlike
eyebrows.
AIDS, apparently.
His skin is flushed.
Yes, it's flush, and like even his eyebrows look more pointy. Like he looks like I don't
Dastardly.
know. Yes, like he looks like Michael Jackson's dad. Remember, he had like those really like evil looking eyebrows. Like, ugh, just looks weird. But he just something looks off. There's this weird, uncanny valley with his face and his proportions, and I don't know. Maybe it's in my head.
Of his health, his T-cell count, he says, was at about 1,200, well within the 500 to 50.
You know what doesn't help also is those weird implants he has that throws all.
100
That's
range considered normal.
Yeah, well, that's what I was gonna say. It's
Picture of
like
health.
extra puffy because now he's getting muscle on top of his implants. They're like pushing him up into his skin a little more,
like a
giving him
nice pair of
Hulk.
tits.
Yep,
I'm stronger. I'm 237 pounds. There was some dramatic weight loss back then, but that was because I was doing drugs. No one knew about it. That wasn't for
No, I think people knew about it.
HIV. They thought, oh boy, he's dying. And I about did die. I just about did die. I about killed myself with drugs, but then, you know, the Lord slapped me upside the head and I got my senses back and stopped doing it, and here I am.
Morrison went through some hard times following his retirement, including a pair of divorces and a 14-month stint in prison for drug and weapons charges. But in 2006, he began training for a comeback. And now at age 39, he once again has his sights set on a heavyweight title.
I mean, I look across the heavyweight division, my mouth water.
That's funny. That's funny that's exactly what registers in my brain. Like, you've heard that song so many times, you know exactly what they're trying to do. That's funny.
I mean, there's nobody out there I can't beat. I just have some political issues, some political...
Ruffled Trenchcoat, if by doing drugs he means AZT. Yes.
Hurdles and roadblocks in my way.
The roadblock Morrison faces is the same one that he's had since the day of his first positive test in 1996. Boxing commissions have been unwilling to grant him a license to fight if he is HIV positive. But according to Morrison, he doesn't have the virus.
According to his hair, he is.
Yeah. Okay. So listen to his theory here. This is odd. Okay, but a little bit of context is that back then, in the 90s, the way that they tested for AIDS was, the way I described this was that if you're thinking of it like a dipstick, the dipstick doesn't have AIDS on it. What they were testing for was your body's reaction to AIDS. So they would, on the dipstick would be AIDS antibodies. Okay. I don't know if the technology is advanced, but that's the way they did in the 90s. That's all they could do. So his theory is based on the testing system. And here's what he's going to say. You're going to hear him, but I just wanted to give it some context.
When you tell somebody I don't have any virus anymore, they just can't understand it. Where did it go? How did you get rid of it? Half the people think I'm a lion, and the other half think I'm crazy. I believe it was a false positive back then. I've said that back then, I'm saying it now. It was a $15 fingerprint test that tells you whether you have an antibody or not. It doesn't isolate virus. I have an HIV antibody in my system, which was created by my body because I was exposed to it at some point. But apparently my system was strong enough to fight it off on its own. Can you be exposed without being infected? I believe you can. And half the medical field believes that you can.
Now, I do not know if half the medical field believes that you can, but his argument is that he was basically having sex with someone who had AIDS, and he developed an antibody to the AIDS, which is what showed up on the test, but he claims it was his body's reaction to fighting it off, and it was successful to the point that he never got the AIDS virus.
So his body made antibodies just because he stuck his dick in someone who supposedly had AIDS?
That's what he's saying. Or they put their dick in him and his body fought off the AIDS virus in the cum that had the AIDS. I don't know exactly. It's all a bunch of nonsense, but that's just what his theory is that he is saying, I was exposed to it, and when I got tested, the test revealed accurately that I had antibodies, which were the defense mechanism to fight off AIDS, but it never showed AIDS. Well, apparently since then, he did get tested and it showed AIDS, but he just refuses to accept that as truth.
Of course.
So I was going to say that, and his medication has probably improved over the last, decade or so, because everybody thought Mitch Johnson was going to be dead.
Yeah.
5 years or whatever it was.
And if
he's looking a lot healthier, but
he is. And supposedly the truth is that he apparently stuck to his medicine for a while. And then at one point, the conspiracy theories really sunk in and he stopped. And as of right now, you're right. He looks okay. He looks pretty decent.
So kind of a Brett Michaels thing going on, but
I saw someone in chat say he looks like a yoked Opie Hughes, and I was like, I can see that.
You know what it looks like? We say like he looks better. I think he's on steroids. Allegedly, I don't know how this shit works, but it looks like
he's dead. You can say whatever you want.
Yeah. His fucking wife will probably fucking try and sue a goddamn cat. He looks like he has a Palumboism. Do you guys know what that is?
In the that's the belly thing, right?
Yeah, like if you go back a little bit, like Palumbo. I don't know if all you guys know what Palumboism is?
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Okay,
not.
so when you do steroids like a lot,
yeah,
it actually your internal organs they expand and grow. So you'll have like the fucking six pack, but you'll still have like a big fucking gut. Like if you look at a lot of bodybuilders, you'll see they look like they have like a fucking Joey C gut, but then they'll have like abs in front of it.
Yep.
So if you go back a little bit, you can kind of see like the gut with the abs. So that makes you think he looks better.
I totally believe he's doing steroids right now because he's training and he's trying to make a comeback, and he's going places that aren't requiring blood tests. I think it's probably a pretty safe bet that he was taking steroids.
Right.
Matt Hibner. So wait. So now AIDS does exist? Believe me, Matt, it comes and goes.
Yeah, no kidding.
There is no consistent theory here. Depends when you catch him what he believes. And so I guess so right now we caught him in an AIDS does exist zone.
Yeah, and the proof of that is the vaccination theory. You know, when you get vaccinated, if you went and tested for measles, mumps, or polio,
I'm sorry, Luigi.
you would come back positive.
I just imagine he has a sign where it's like, like I have AIDS with like a days counter, and like he resets it to 0 every couple days when he changes his mind.
Remember South Park when they would have the chickenpox parties?
Yes.
He has AIDS parties. This is gonna ward off the AIDS. We don't get it.
I just thought of something though, because he was probably taking steroids while he was boxing.
Oh
too,
yeah,
right. So isn't that a way that he could have caught HIV/AIDS is by sharing needles with somebody else?
Absolutely. We'll never be able to know how he caught it.
And that also,
but it also explains none of the women that he was with tested positive, so that kind of makes sense that he would have caught it from another boxer.
But since then,
somewhere
is the weird
that's
thing.
True.
Yeah, and also if it's true that he got it in '89, that's a lot of time and 3 marriages. It's weird. The math doesn't add up on that end. Anyway,
even though you're not contagious.
What's that?
Ain't AIDSing.
Yes. But also, who knows? I'm going to guess he probably even sucked a dick. We don't know. You never know.
With that goatee, I believe anything.
Yeah. Anybody, it's the same.
Morrison returned to the ring in February 2007 when he was granted a license by the West Virginia Boxing Commission after producing results of a blood test that showed no virus in his system. He registered a second round
not gay if you suck
TKO,
dick in an Indian
but 4 months
reservation.
later,
It's unsanctioned.
former associate of Morrison said
homosexuality.
blood was tampered with.
It was an
and the results
exhibition
were
match.
fake.
Yes, it was an exhibition.
Brick walls, I'm running into them everywhere I go. But I got to thinking about it. I was praying about it one day, and the Lord told me, you know what? Brick walls aren't there to keep you out.
Matt Hibner, I'm not a doctor, but yes.
Apparently.
Right? Wouldn't they be
They're there
able
to see
to derive a vaccination from his blood then?
Wait a minute. If you have AIDS, does it cancel it out and cure one of you?
That's what
Why
I'm saying.
not?
Like,
Pretty sure. I didn't want it. And I've had to go around and through and over everyone that comes up in my face. And I will continue to do that because I believe this is what I'm supposed to do. My career got shut down too soon.
Yeah.
I was just starting to understand the sport of boxing when all of a sudden I couldn't do it anymore. So this is like closure. To come back after all these years and to be as in good a shape as I'm in now. I really believe it's my destiny to do this.
But Morrison's self-professed destiny and his reality are 2 different things. He has fought just once since his return to the ring a year ago, winning on an undercard in Mexico. Outside the ring, the father of 4 is engaged to be married and seeking to move forward from the often tumultuous path his life has been on since that fateful test.
Some of the discrimination that I went through over the years was pretty amazing, It was like all of a sudden one day I didn't have any friends. Even my own family started pulling away from me, and it was just me. I was just alone. And still to this day, I can
They didn't like it when I slobbered and bled on them.
be in a crowd of 15 or 20,000 people screaming your name, and I still feel alone, I do. I'm not into that. What used to be so important back then, being Tommy Morrison, I could give a load of crap for that stuff. I'm one of them guys that once I start something, I got to finish it.
Like AIDS.
It was very dark time. I had a hard
that was one interview. This is the second one.
time believing something like that could happen to me.
Everything changed for Tommy Morrison on February 10th, 1996. Just hours before he was to fight on national television, the heavyweight boxer learned he had tested positive for HIV. The bout was canceled, a multi-million-dollar contract to fight Mike Tyson disappeared, and his world was turned upside down.
That caused my life to spiral out of control in a big way. Some of my best friends that I grew up with wouldn't even wave at me going through town.
They're afraid of catching AIDS.
Then I worked that in. I went, after I had to retire, I went in there to work out. This guy come up and it's like, man, you're gonna have to, you're costing me money, is what he said. I'm like, what are you?
That's, I don't know. I can't blame someone for saying that. If this guy's like, dude, people don't want to work out here because you got AIDS. I mean, like, that's not that crazy of a at that time. I mean, it wasn't that crazy of a thing to think at that time.
Well, that's what I'm saying. How did he not blame Fauci then? Because that's who was pushing all the AIDS and toilet seat stuff back then. It was like, you can catch it just by looking at an AIDS patient. And
oh wow, I didn't know that. Yeah.
Oh yeah. That was a thing back. Like, I think he was like one of the toilet seat people. Like, you can catch it from a public restroom, and then like, that's not true at all. Yeah. It was pretty bad back then.
Yeah, it used to be like, I heard if you clicked on the link to a gay porn site, you get HIV.
Exactly. Your computer does for sure.
Yeah, you and your computer get viruses.
Got to get McAfee antivirus.
Yeah, they see you working out and sweating.
Oh, that's another one. Holy cow.
Oh, McAfee's on the list. McAfee's on the
list.
It was a long fall for a man who was one of the most popular fighters in boxing.
He's going to be dangerous no matter who he fights, where he fights him.
In addition to starring alongside Sylvester Stallone in Rocky V, Morrison had displayed his devastating punches in a series of crowd-pleasing bouts.
Lawrence, bang! Oh, a good right hand by Morrison.
Including his 1993 unanimous decision win over George Foreman for the WBO title.
A right hand from Tommy Morrison.
So, with his boxing career over at age 27, Morrison struggled. He pled guilty to DUI charges, spent 14 months in prison on drugs and weapon charges. But in the last few years, he has turned the corner, primarily because Morrison now believes he never had HIV.
The more research I did, the more I found out that what I was being told was a bunch of bull.
That's what's crazy to me is when they say something like that, research. You're not a doctor. What research are you doing that you're willing to place like your life and the lives of others in to just say, I don't think so. Right. It's amazing.
What I do know is,
with the way his mind is, he doesn't see it that way because the fact he never had it, he's not putting anyone else in risk. Like you know what I mean? Like thinking through his brain. Trust me, I ain't justifying it.
Yeah, but we're still in that gray area of trying to figure out if he really believes that, Right. And I
That's a good question though.
I can't. That's exactly it. I can't buy that he really believes this nonsense. I can't. It's hard because of the fact that even with a half a conscience, you would say, man, I'm not a doctor. And if there's any chance that I have this, I can't put someone else's life at risk. But he doesn't do that. And he's trying actively to not do that. He wants to put everyone at risk. And that's where I'm just like, dude, I think he was lying. I think he was just trying to get a payday. Well, let's just keep watching.
Yeah, isn't that like the saying, like you can't make an omelet without getting a few eggs, AIDS or something like that?
That's what it is.
Okay, that's what I thought. My grandma used to always say that.
All the things that they told me was going to happen to me never happened. Am I Superman? No, I don't think
and that's
so.
another point, though. Like he was doing other hard drugs and stuff, and if he is lying, he knows he's lying because if you got something like that, you're going to be flipping sick. And if he's taking steroids, like excessively taking steroids, and I did see his belly here just in this last one where he was hitting the heavy bag, you can see he looks like 4 months pregnant.
Right.
But that's boosting him. Right. But that's making him feel better. So he could convince himself that, maybe I'm not as sick as everybody says I am.
And let's see, Ferndog says telling you 100% is punch drunk. Is that the same as CTE?
I think that's it's like
a shell shock back in the day. Yeah. Punch drunk was like boxers, like who had that sound like they're drunk, like you were saying. That was like a boxing term. Term.
I get it. Punch drunk. Okay, got it. The sound. I thought it meant like something having to do with like their brain, like they were like moving or something. Okay,
no. Like he got beat so hard, like he's like talking like like Ferndog just said it now, like brain damage.
Brain damage. Got it.
They sound drunk. Like
I agree. Okay, well I do agree with that. Yeah.
I think I was Superman back when I was 21, but I just think that there was a misdiagnosis.
Morrison may believe he's HIV-free and ready to return to the ring, but many are skeptical. So he has a plan to prove the naysayers wrong.
The first thing is, we got to pass the medical exam in Las Vegas. That's like the hub of American boxing. And that's the same test that I failed back in '96, or allegedly failed. I guess.
I'm making my way there. I made it to Mexico and an Indian reservation. We're slowly closing in on Vegas.
Yes, I did fail it for some
all
reason.
coming
Once
together.
that's done and we're off and running, then the world is my crystal ball.
He has other motivation as well, namely his fiancée, Lisa, who is the reason he's now living here in Los Angeles.
Tommy is my best friend.
That makes sense.
My future husband. I feel like we're one person in two bodies.
What?
AIDS.
Oh.
The old hip hug. It's like-
There's a button, the AIDS alarm.
And I've never experienced that. I love Tommy. You can't help who you fall in love with, so we'll just have to march through it
She looks like the sister from Righteous Gemstones.
together.
She's everything that I've always dreamed about.
Judy.
I remember riding around when I was in high school with my buddies, and I remember telling them, you know, I wish I could find a girl that was like me. They're all like, you're out of your mind. You'll never find someone like you. It was awesome.
Because
It's
you
like
have AIDS.
That missing piece.
With his personal life thriving, Morrison is ready to resume his career, something that would have, until recently, seemed unthinkable.
I don't plan on doing this forever. You know, I'm talking about every year, year and a half. I like to win one title, you know, and then whatever happens after that happens. But I think it'll be the greatest comeback in the history of the sport.
The greatest comeback. All right. Now, I keep saying that that we're going to get weird.
It's getting pretty weird, man.
Yeah. So this next one is going to take it up a notch. This is a 2009 fight that happened in Wyoming. Tommy Morrison versus Corey Wilson. Now, what you'll see is it's 2009. That was 2 years after his first comeback fight in 2007. I don't really know exactly how to set this up, except watch closely.
For your title fight, referee is going to be Mike Perez.
Okay, the world famous Mike Perez, y'all.
The Mike Perez?
This fight is scheduled.
Gringo Dave.
Gringo Dave, yes. Gringo Dave rules.
If people know that reference, check out the last episode. There was a character named Gringo Dave.
For 6 2-minute rounds. Muay Thai rules will be followed. Are you ready, Laramie?
Wait, Muay Thai rules. That's
are
kicking.
you really ready?
Yeah, elbows and knees.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to
play
pause
Fatal
this.
Fury.
Dang Lizard has a very good point. I like this a lot. Even if he doesn't believe his own BS, in his mind, his whole existence depends on this, and he's willing to risk it for everyone for it. I think I fully subscribe to that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You got it, bro.
All right, now watch.
I just imagine they go full Muay Thai where like they glue like the glass shards to their fists.
I'm going to make this full screen. Okay, again, watch closely.
All right, as we get ready, please get ready to welcome from the blue.
Oh, hey, thanks for becoming a member, Rumple Trenchcoat, a Columbo podcast. Thank you very much.
Corner, Corey Williams.
Still a bigger turnout than a Stuttering John show. All right, so this essentially looks like a bar with a tiny little ring that is not
it's a barbecue restaurant.
It's a barbecue. Very good, very good.
Thank you.
It was a potato bar.
It was a barbecue restaurant.
And from the independent gyms, Tommy the Duke Morrison.
I'm sorry, the independent gym thing made me laugh a lot. Because he can't get any other, like a sponsor. It's like just independent gym.
I'll admit I giggled, but then I felt sad. You know, like I was like, oh.
But
J.R.
I
Gordon here. I'm
also
joined
heard
by-
independent gyms with an S. Isn't that multiple? So it's not
That's
independent.
true.
All right,
Yeah.
all right. So
Like,
maybe
how
it's a
can you be the
franchise, I'll
Lone
give it.
Rangers when there's 3 of you?
I'm gonna guess. I'm gonna guess that they asked, "What gym are you from?" and he wrote
I'm glad you got that
independent, like meaning he trains himself, and the guy misread it. From Team Independence.
by Lindy Matthews. This bout, 16-minute rounds,
again,
modified Muay
here,
Thai
watch
for the
this close.
Wyoming State heavyweight title.
Well, I know that was an early fight he had early on, and I know he spoke it. That was a big learning thing for him, that he had never been hurt before.
We're not going to watch the whole
So it
fight.
was a
I
big
just wanted
learning
to
curve for him.
put in a couple
But right
things here I
now,
thought were
I don't know how he's going to handle the
important
knees and the
for
elbows
context.
and the dirty boxing. So we'll have to see how well, if he's prepared for that, or if he thinks his boxing is going to be able to get him by. I notice neither of them are wearing kickboxing.
I feel like either one of them can jump and hit their head on the ceiling.
Yeah, that's weird.
I was just about to make that point, Lindy. They're both wearing boxing shoes, so I wonder if this is going to be a straight-up boxing match. We were told that it was modified Muay Thai, but here we go.
Modified Muay Thai.
All right, right here. Watch close.
Yeah, so far, that's exactly what I was going to say. A little bit of a feeling out round here. It does look kind of like a sparring match out there. In Tommy's other bouts, since coming back off of his boxing career, it was kind of a modified rules mixed martial arts bout. And for this one, it's looking to me like straight up boxing other than those couple of knees we've seen so far. And Tommy lands a hard right, and it's looking to me like Williams might be out of it.
Yeah.
Oh, and he's down.
Okay.
That's what they call out on your feet. He got up, staggered a little bit. He's getting the count, and I don't think he's going to recover for this one. I'd be surprised if the referee doesn't stop it. Well, Corey says he's good to go.
This is not going to go much
All right, so one more and he's going to drop him again.
And
Okay.
a solid left hook, and that ends the bout.
Now,
kickboxing
watch
type
again.
attire, so I'm wondering
Here.
And Tommy lands a...
Yeah, that was...
Yeah,
Watch what Tommy does.
So far, that's exactly what I was going to say. A little bit of a feeling out round here. It
If
does look kind of like
if
a
you're
sparring
not
match
totally
out there.
convinced that
In
that
Tommy's
was
other
a fake
bouts,
fight,
since coming back off of his boxing
here's
career,
the
it was kind of
signal.
a modified rules mixed martial arts bout.
Right there, the belt thing, right?
Yep.
For this one,
So now he has resorted
straight up
to
boxing other than
fixed
those couple of
fights
knees we've seen so
for
far.
That
his
overhand right,
Tommy
that's too,
lands
that
a
wasn't
hard
even...
right, and it's
Wrestling
looking to
fans,
me
he
like
takes a Ric
Williams
Flair
might
bump.
be out of
Watch.
it.
Yeah.
That right there.
Oh, and
yeah,
he's
and that's
down.
why I leaned back in my chair.
That's what they call out on your feet. He got up, staggered a little bit. He's getting the count, and I don't think he's going to recover for this one. I'd be surprised if the referee
The
doesn't
Oscar
stop.
goes to
Well,
fat fuck
Corey
box.
says he's good to go.
this is not going to go much longer.
And that's why I said, okay,
and
one more punch and he's done. That's I
A
knew that was
solid
coming.
left
This
hook,
is like,
and that ends the bout. So
that
Tommy
is
Morrison,
so
congratulations, taking home the
just-
title.
I
All
mean,
right,
there's
ladies
no other
and
word
gentlemen,
for it.
it's
just
official.
sad. So
1 minute, 50 seconds.
I have to wonder if part of his comeback was him trying and then finally admitting to himself, I can't do this. Like, my health is bad. I need someone to take a fall to make me look good. I mean, I don't know. That's complete speculation. But why would he need someone to do that?
where did they find that opponent? That's my question. You know, like that guy looked like he was at the end of the bar that Tommy was at the night before. Like, hey, dude, we can do a match tomorrow. Probably make about 30 grand. You know, in ticket sales. We're in Las Vegas. Blah blah blah.
How about this? Maybe that's the only guy who's like, look, I'll get in the ring with AIDS Man, but I ain't going in there for more than a minute.
Oh, you know what?
Mm-hmm.
That makes that. You know what? I buy that.
Like, I'll even take the loss. I'm not going to be there for more than a minute.
Right. Some never was that'll. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why not?
First off, you're paying me double, and I ain't going more than 2 minutes.
Right. Like, I'm not even going a full round.
Yeah.
So,
you know what? I buy that. We're almost done here. I'm going to skip around here because in 2011, there was a Canadian boxing organization that decided to give him a chance, and he holds a press conference. Now, 2 years have passed since 2009, And I just want you to take a look at how he looks
He was a
in
very
this press conference.
untamed and wild guy, Tommy Gunn, in the Rocky V movie. But in the real life, he was a very, very dangerous boxer. He was the great white hope. I think he still is, but Eric says he won't be. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Tommy the Duke Morrison.
Sounds a lot like Michael Bell. I'm glad to be coming.
Well, spoiler alert, he never
Uh,
fights again, but let's go ahead and just go to his last year.
By 2012, after a mysterious chest surgery, things took a dramatic turn. In his final year, he was bedridden. He couldn't speak. He couldn't move. A ventilator did his breathing for him. This once chiseled athlete, once the face of American heavyweight hope, had become unrecognizable. By age 40, people said he looked 60. A walking cautionary tale, aged by denial, addiction, and years of damage that couldn't be undone.
This was Tommy at age 44.
But that was
Oh
him.
my God.
He was falling apart. His life was over.
If you can't tell those voices, that is Joe Rogan, Tom Segura, and Bert Kreischer. This got brought up on the air on the Joe Rogan podcast, which got Tommy's widow involved. She kept trying to respond to the claims that he had AIDS. Like it's so weird and bizarre. We could probably make a third episode, but I just don't even want to give her a platform at all.
Wow. And that was him at 44. He looks like a 7-year-old man. He was not doing good, man.
Damn, dude.
He got addicted to all kinds of drugs, and it's just, his health fell apart. It was not good.
Requesting a court-appointed attorney?
No, sir. I've got my own, and surprised he's not here. He died soon after.
The boxing world taking a hit today with the death of one-time champion Tommy Morrison at the age of 44.
Tommy Morrison died on September 1st, 2013, in a hospital in Omaha, Nebraska. He was just 44 years old. The official cause? Cardiac arrest brought on by multiple organ failure, septic shock, and a severe bacterial infection known as Pseudomonas aeruginosa septicemia, an infection typically seen in people with severely compromised immune systems. But here's where the story turns from tragedy to controversy. His death certificate made no mention of HIV, no mention of AIDS, nothing. That deliberate
And that is where people start getting the footing to say that he never had it. Whereas in a practical application of diagnosing his death, it wasn't necessary to say that he had AIDS because that wasn't the direct cause of what killed him. The direct cause of what killed him was organ failure and a bacterial infection.
Right. They're not going to list he had high blood pressure. He had high
Exactly.
cholesterol.
Exactly. And so
I was going to say, that's not what killed him. It was the sepsis and the organ failure.
Exactly. Now, there was an extenuating factor, but it's not the direct cause. And but I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. So listen to this.
Mission poured gasoline on the fire of public speculation. To many, it was the final chapter in a life defined by denial. Even in death, the narrative was being controlled. Yet the medical facts paint a different picture. Pseudomonas aeruginosa septicemia is a serious opportunistic infection, and one that, according to medical literature, most commonly affects individuals with advanced AIDS. The omission wasn't proof of innocence. It was a cover, a final attempt to erase the truth that Morrison had refused to accept for nearly 2 decades. And the denial didn't just come from paperwork. His wife, Tricia, continued to publicly claim that he had Guillain-Barré syndrome. She insisted HIV had nothing to do with his death. But Morrison's mother told a different story. In a heartbreaking interview with ESPN, she said plainly, "My son died of full-blown AIDS." 2 versions of reality.
I hope my mother never has to give that interview.
Yeah, no kidding. It's like, oh man.
Full-blown AIDS.
Full-blown Full blown butt fucked AIDS.
Yeah, full blown butt fucking AIDS.
Thanks, Mom.
That's a t-shirt. Full blown butt fucking AIDS.
One shaped by love, loyalty, and delusion, the other grounded in grief and truth. And the ambiguity didn't end there. No autopsy was performed. His body was cremated quickly after his death. That meant no definitive medical confirmation, no way to silence the conspiracy theories, no way to rewrite the ending. And maybe that's the most fitting part of all this. Tommy Morrison spent the last years of his life running from reality, denying science, ignoring every warning, refusing every opportunity to take control of his fate. And when the final bell rang, he left behind a story just as chaotic, contradictory, and tragic as the life he lived. His death certificate, while medically accurate on the surface, told only half the story. Yes, he died of cardiac arrest, multiple organ failure, and a severe bacterial infection. But it left out the most crucial detail.
The full-blown butt-fucking AIDS. I'd love to hear that AI voice say that.
The compromised immune system that made
The
all of it
FBBF
possible.
AIDS?
It was a final act of avoidance, one that mirrors Morrison's own refusal to accept reality. Medical experts agree. Pseudomonas aeruginosa septicemia doesn't just appear in healthy people. It preys on the immunodeficient. And in Morrison's case, that almost certainly meant AIDS. By choosing cremation and denying an autopsy, the family ensured that no definitive medical conclusion could ever be reached. No official record, no final reckoning. Just more silence, more speculation, more of the same carefully maintained illusion that had shaped the last decade of his life. And that's the bitter irony. After years of fighting the truth, Morrison's death certificate became his final weapon in that war, a document that, like its subject, refused to face what really happened. Tommy Morrison's story began like a movie script. Small-town kid with big dreams, knockout power, and matinee idol looks. He had the title. He had the fame. He even had a role in Rocky. He was on top of the world. But in 1996, his HIV diagnosis marked the beginning of a long, brutal downfall, one fueled by addiction, denial, and self-destruction. His arrest record, his drug abuse, and...
So this is the question that it all comes down to is, can we accurately call Tommy Morrison a con man and a grifter? And it's just not clear. Like that, I was so obsessed with this story after we touched on it, because the whole concept of the show is to expose grifters and frauds. And here's one where I literally thought to myself, I don't know, because God, he might have just been crazy. He might have just been delusional. But at the same time, I do lean towards him just simply not giving a fuck about anyone else's safety and just wanting to make a name for himself because his life had fallen so out of control.
See, that's the weird thing. Like I could understand wanting to make a name for yourself and to want to be somebody, but he never switched gears. It was always boxing. It had to be boxing. Like he couldn't just open a gym for troubled youth or, you know what I mean? There wasn't like any other avenue except being in the ring and punching people.
Yeah. Yeah. That is weird. Like he couldn't have tried to. What's that?
No, go ahead. I'll go after you.
No, I mean, that's true. Like he could have, he could have chosen another form of pocketing good karma, but at some point it became him trying to prove something to himself. So again, just lying to himself.
Yeah, we touched on that last week because remember I was saying that he could have just opened his own boxing gym and named it something else, but his ego wouldn't allow anyone to, you know what I mean? His ego wouldn't allow someone else to make a name for themselves. Like it would have to be at his gym or he was the trainer and stuff. You know what I mean?
You know what?
Yeah.
Doopa here in the chat actually just made a fantastic point. He faked a fight. He's a grifter. You know what?
Yeah.
I think that solves it. Like
that's
wow.
Yeah,
I think
that's
that
definitely you know, like the scale thing. You just like drop a chip over there, and it's like it just went up a little bit more onto the grifter side there.
Wow.
Yeah, I agree, because that last fight, I wouldn't have really thought about it that way, except especially seeing that last fight. He was like, all right, here it comes. And then he does an overhand right, and the guy falls over. And then he gets back up, and I knew it. I was like, one more punch, he's going to go right back down. Okay. I've seen that specific work before.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And it's so well acted.
Yeah, I know. Right. Slippery feet, can't get back up. Most people who get knocked like that get right back up.
Yeah.
Like, I'm good to go. They slap them, they wake themselves back up because they know the next one will be a little bit easier.
Dooba-dooba-doo with the
Grifter.
Sound logic. All right, this is the last little portion here.
Gifted fighter, an American star, and a man who once seemed destined for greatness. But his story serves as a stark reminder of the devastating consequences of unchecked personal demons, the powerful grip of addiction, and the dangerous allure of denial when faced with scientific truth. His life remains a poignant example of a duke who, in the end, lost the most important fight of all. The
Dabbleverse.
One against himself. But what do you think? Was Tommy Morrison a victim of stigma and bad advice? Or was he fully responsible for the path he chose?
Ancient Chinese secret.
Yeah, so now.
I don't think he was a victim.
I don't think he's a victim. No. Definitely not a victim. Now, typically, we like to bring out our mascot, the destroyer of grifters, and Frank Dukes, to destroy all of the grifters, but we didn't feel like it was totally appropriate this time to bring out Anne Frank Dukes. Gummi, the mad genius, thought of something even better. Please enjoy.
We have
golden glove swinging, mullet and fight, knuckles like thunder, fist ignite.
Check out Tommy Morrison.
Born to brawl, ringside warrior, gave it his all.
Definitely in his prime.
Classic mullet too.
A beautiful mullet.
Me and Hawk would be jealous.
A thief in the mind. HIV whispers, trying to cut him down, yet the lion roared, refused the crown. A mullet that dance, the spirit unbroken. The crowd screamed loud, every word unspoken. In the heart of the fight, his truth laid bare. Even with the way he dared to care. Heavy hands carry dreams, heavyweight.
You know, Gummi might know, he looks a little bit like iDubbbz.
Now, who is Tommy Morrison going to be battling?
Oh, this is what I want to know.
Harold Isaac Valentine. HIV. Mr. HIV.
Harold Isaac Valentine, champ in the flesh. Every jab a message, every hook and test. Legends fall quick when they step to the best.
I like the sparkle dust up. That's
put them all to rest. Footwork sharper than a razor's edge. Dodging weak swings, the teeter on the ledge. His uppercut a rocket, sending them the pledge. Never fight this man, the vow they hedge. Harold Isaac Valentine,
the zombie skin tone, everything.
Message, every hook and test. Legends fall quick when they step to the best. Unbeaten, untouchable, put them all to rest. Crowd cheers loud, Harold's the king. Bring light shine as the dice they
HIV just giving it to Tommy Morrison.
Holy jeez, the uppercut from...
That went from Florida to Maine.
HIV with the win.
That's all it takes.
Never fighting HIV. Wow, that's
no.
So the point is, Tommy Morrison got beat by HIV.
HIV always wins.
HIV,
no matter what,
always wins. Yes. There you have it, folks. There is the story. Maybe we can get a little shimmy here. You really got to sell this. I fight to survive.
Yeah! I'm sorry about that.
That's okay. It fit perfectly. Thank you so much to everyone for being here. Absolutely appreciate it. This was a weird one. This was a weird, interesting story. But I am very glad everyone stuck with it. There's just a lot to it. And ultimately, yeah, I think Tommy Morrison was just an asshole with AIDS who didn't care about anyone but himself. And even though there's so much other evidence to maybe suggest that there was another explanation, I don't buy it. Tommy Morrison was a grifter. So thank you so much. Before we go, I do think I want to play one last thing real quick.
Everyone has AIDS. And so this is the end of our story. And everyone is dead from AIDS. It took from me my best friend, my only true pal.
It's funny because it's true.
My only bright star. Well, I'm gonna march on Washington, lead the fight and charge the brigades. There's a hero inside of all of us. I'll make them see everyone has AIDS. My father, AIDS. My sister, AIDS. My uncle and my cousin and her best friend, AIDS. The gays and the straights and the whites and the spades. Everyone has AIDS.
Forgot about that line.
And my dog blue. The Pope has got it and so do you. Come on everybody, we got quilting to do. We're gonna break down these barricades. Everyone has AIDS, 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 AIDS,
the shimmy.
One of the greatest songs ever from one of the greatest movies ever. Thank you again for being here and for spending this time with us. Thank you so much for the super chats and the gifted memberships. Thank you so much. Before we go, let's have some plugs. Gummy, what would you like to plug, sir?
Hashtag AIDS brain. No, you can find me on
Jenga
X.
AIDS.
Yes, Jenga AIDS. The AIDS Uno. You can find me on X at Gummi_Chainsaw. Sorry, Sperg just brought out a Jenga thing. Oh man, Jengades. It was right there. Anyway, sorry guys. Gummi_Chainsaw on X. It's pretty much it. Sometime this weekend I'll be putting out a video of me playing a game called Silent Still, where it's literally a simulator of having sleep demons, and it is scary as fuck. So you're gonna hear me scream like a child. So
all right.
Thank you everyone for hanging out.
Thank you very much. And Sperg Snake, what would you like to plug, sir?
Jenga, AIDS Jenga from Milton Bradley.
It's a game for the family.
Yeah. Just at Sperg Snake on YouTube, Monday nights game show night, and at some point I'm like Gummi. I'm probably gonna play something else. I'm trying to play Undertale. I've never played it before. It comes highly recommended.
Same. I have it too, and I haven't played it.
Oh. I'm gonna make a mention to that to a mutual friend of ours. And you also, Gummi, had shared a game that you like to play with Luigi Greenberg, and so I want to play some of that with you guys, hopefully coming up here soon. Oh, thanks for you put the link in the thing. There you go. If you guys want to sub up, go ahead. It's pretty much just a chill Monday night, 10 to midnight, goofing around hang stream, nothing important. Like this, just kind of dabble adjacent.
Awesome, man. And
one more thing real quick.
No,
Matt Hibner in the chat asked a question. He said, what about half-blown AIDS? It will be shunned by all communities.
Okay. But it's not half-blown butt-fucking AIDS, right?
I didn't ask that. I don't know.
It's strictly missionary.
For me, please check out the most recent episode of Skeptical Robot. We had a surprise episode on Wednesday with American Cupcake about the life of Jack Edema. It is an insane story. It is unbelievable. And also on Thursdays, I do Unboxing Riley Martin and Unboxing Bigfoot It Is. On Sunday mornings, after the Blind Mike Project, I do Unboxing Eric. That's the new time. And this Sunday, catch me and Mr. Gummi on WGNN at what time?
8 Central.
8 Central. Thank you very, very much. And before we go, we like to end the show with... I gotta find it.
AIDS.
I mean, that is the ending of everything, technically. It is the end all be all.
The last portion of the show, Kernels of Knowledge. Take it away, Corndiff.
Everybody. I was thinking. Life's kind of like sparring a kangaroo on Red Bull. You're going to get hit and possibly kicked in the growing. Y'all have a good weekend.
That's right, it sucks.